If I'm ever right, it's whatever. Next topic. If I'm ever wrong, this is why you're wrong. This is why you should never speak up, and this is why you should be thankful I'm doing the show with you, Loco. Don't you ever dare fucking speak up again. You're wrong 24/7.
Loco, it does say something when you want like a fucking ticker tape parade for just being vaguely right about a team you used to work in for like 3 years or something. Like fucking hell. Like, what do you want next? Like, you're like the kid who wants to get like bonus marks just for putting your name at the top of the SAT. Like, well, I did that right. So what about that? It's like, doesn't that count for something? Okay, this is going to be episode 29 of Listen Loco. Not some sort of odd reference to the fact that Saint was already an older player when he began as a pro in League of Legends. Already experienced the life, Now he's 29. Actually, how old are you, Saint?
I'm definitely older than 29. I turned 32 this year.
Oh my
32?
God, 30.
Still pretty young. Yeah, no, but Loco, people forget. Remember, season 2 was 2012. That's a fucking long time ago. The game's been going quite a long time now.
Yeah.
I feel old, and then I see like shooting game players now. They're so old now. Like even like Shroud and all the any of those players, they're all like my age.
Put it this way, there was actually a graphic someone put out today who does stats in CSGO, because the CSGO major began today. And when you have a look at the average age, like the average of the 5-man team in Counter-Strike, like the youngest teams at the major are about like 23 average age in Counter-Strike. Imagine that if in League the average age was 23. That's the youngest. There's other teams at the major that like average age like 26.
Yeah. Well,
so CSGO, like the age is like way better. And in fact, part of it I actually think has to be a factor. Isn't just all the other stuff of like I think two of the things that are the biggest factors that people underestimate is, one, the game doesn't change like fundamentally. It does obviously what you do as a team. Like that's the thing people don't understand is when you don't change the game. Yeah, you still spend all your time trying to find edges, but it's within like a static environment, So it means actually what you learn over the time benefits you even more. So like experience is mental. Like I've always wondered in League, if they hadn't have changed the jungle every season, surely some people would have like have an insane experience advantage. Now like some guy like Bengi who played like 5 years or something, There's no way some rookie guy who's never played before is going to know more about like pathing matchups than him and like, exactly at the timings and stuff. And then the other factor as well is just that in CSGO, we never had like the team house thing. So I don't think people burned out as much because like most pro players who are European just live at home in whatever home country they got live from,
The team house is a trap, man. I was trying to say that in season 2, yeah, we like went to Korea or whatever. We played in LCK, and then we had like that whole team apartment on CLG. Oh man! And it was Loco actually had to come over and like be our mom or some shit and like mediate stuff and all that. It was actually the guy. Actually, that's the first time Loco coach, I think. But then at the end of it, like Hotshot, his conclusion was like, we need to get a team house now. I was like, hell fucking no. Like, this is the most stressful experience of my entire life, like being in this apartment. And then, yeah.
Thing is, like, I can see in the early days why it did make sense. Because, like, if you are, like, gathering think about how the first League of Legends pros were in North America. Like, just even gathering them a team house in theory is going to make them a little bit more, like, mindset of like we're pros and we're practicing for something, as opposed to if you're just fucking around at home when you finish the scrims, odds are you're just like gonna tune out and it's just an ordinary day. And then also it definitely helped obviously for making content like in the early days when no one had any money. But for me it was like that should only have lasted a year or two. It probably went on for too long, didn't it?
Yeah,
it was a good stepping stone from like everyone just living at their own place to like that's super far away to getting everyone in a centralized location. And then after that, like moving to a work and home kind of environment where it's separate.
Yeah, I think the way they're doing it, I think most teams are moving towards the apartment or living in like a separate house and then going to an office and all that. I think that's like really the way to do it.
Yep. I mean, it's still where the teams own the apartment and teams pay rent for the players in the apartment. But like in the future, hopefully it's here's like our workplace. Figure out where the hell you're going to live.
That's a lot of responsibility, man, for a kid, for the 19-year-old gamer. All right, what's your episode about, Loco? Go.
What?
Go.
What?
Yeah. Well, yeah. What's the drama? What's the show all about?
What do you mean drama? Oh, it's gonna
Wait
be
a minute. I've got a question for you. Actually, Sin. Right. Listen, you are known as someone, right, who's an authentic person, who's real. You don't just sugarcoat things, bullshit people.
What are you gonna say?
So I've got a real question for you. I'm just genuinely interested, right? So I can imagine especially obviously when you first went to Korea, like you described with CLG, it was 2012. Was it actually your first time in Korea?
No, yeah.
Oh, no, you went for World Cyber Games, but yeah, like just before. I think it was like, had you ever been before?
I've been with the military, but not like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, because when you went to Korea, right? People have to understand. Locodoco isn't really like other Koreans. I mean, if anyone hasn't understood, that's why his career is to be stuck in some fucking like third dimension, like devil realm where he has to just like teach Western players because no one in Korea wants to be a coach. But on the other hand, like the Western players are like, you're a bit weird and not quite Korean enough. He's like, I'm Korean. Look, I'm trying not to say something so he looks like shy or something. But the thing is, when you first saw Locodoco, what the fuck did you think in your head? Because back then he looked way more extreme than he did now, didn't he? He's softened himself up now for the ladies, but he used to look ridiculous.
He had the emo look and all that. No, actually, I knew Loco back in season 1, and we actually ended up on TSM. We were the founding members of TSM together. And I remember I was like good friends with Loco at that time, and Reggie just like hard fucking raged at Loco or some shit, and I was like, all right, I don't want to be on this team anymore or whatever, and I like tried to stand up for Loco, and then I just like left to go to CLG. That's like actually the reason I wasn't on TSM. Is
you betrayed us.
What? Wait, you were the one who...
I remember Andy, but Andy always yelled at me, and I think that just came with being on TSM. I remember when I was working for a site and writing guides and streaming, and Andy just yelling at us constantly.
Wait a minute. So you're okay with Reginald just screaming at you about fucking just League of Legends? Meanwhile, on air, who actually was just like a fucking real manager who's like running 2 teams. He's like masterminded 2 of the best teams in the world. He's setting up like training, trying to do all this stuff. And then he ever dares even like raise his voice to you and like, I will kill you. How dare you? Like, what the fuck? Why did you go ham at Reginald?
So I respect Andy for his game knowledge. I respect Andy for his hustle. I still
like hustle. What the hell?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like Andy now too.
Sure,
we're good friends too.
I'm
just saying at the time.
Yeah, for his hustle, like for like what Andy did. Andy used to work at Trader Joe's. And now he's the owner of TSM and like multi-millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, you might have done a little bit of a slip there. Yeah. Like, I don't know how much of a TSM fan you are, but yeah, I don't know about that.
On air is some former StarCraft broadcaster / like he used to be a child actor, so he used to be on a very, very famous K-drama when he was younger, and then that's what he made a majority of his career out of. And he was trying to teach me how to draft. Okay, he did teach me about team play, and I should have listened to him better about team play and getting along with others, but he was trying to teach me how to draft, how like the game should play, and then I wasn't having any of that. Like how I understood the game was way better than him, and when he tried to teach me about it or like how the team should play, like I disagreed heavily, and I feel like a lot of our early success came because I disagreed heavily and I pushed for my ideas. So
I'm just gonna say he's still coaching now, and he's actually fucking killing it in the LCK. But anyway, we'll never know who really won that.
Killing it in LCK.
Man, if you had his players, you'd be relegated. Come on, admit it. He's done a fucking good job this split.
What is it? If he's done a decent job this split, but if I had
this guy,
he's doing a decent job this split. But when I'm given lower tier players, I've done really well with them. I know you're gonna point out Golden Guardians, but that wasn't a full fucking season.
Dude, this is his Golden Guardians. Look at the fucking players he's working with, and he's got him in 5th place in the LCK above KT Rolster.
My actual Golden Guardians is when I was coaching TL the first season, and then we actually got 4th in Game 5 with CLG. So that's my actual Golden Guardians.
You like to talk about Golden Guardians, do you? Oh, wait a minute. What were those 2 teams you worked with, Loco? There was TSM. We're not going to talk about Team Liquid. You have nothing to do with their success. 0 players on their lineup that were playing. So ignore that. You have TSM, still got Bjergsen, and you have Golden Guardians. If only those 2 teams had played recently, because the thing is, on the one hand, you always say, even when they started failing, about how TSM's really good and you're still picking them for the top. By the way, anyone keeping track of this season, Loco, 3 of Loco's big picks for the season, 100 Thieves, Team Liquid. Oh, fucking hell, Team Liquid, how did he do it? And then obviously fucking TSM, right? Well, you know what, Loco? TSM's only tied for last place in the motherfucking LCS. And you know that Golden Guardians team, you were always right up my arsehole after like 2 games in the entire fucking league. 2 games in, you're just like, they're dead. They'll never win a game. They're the worst team of all time.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actually tied with TSM. You know that organization with all the money, like Reginald, like slapping butts or like fucking kissing babies on the cheek or whatever the fuck you think he does. Well, explain that to me then, homie. How did TSM end up with, in your words, washed up, frogging? No, I don't actually know whether you said that. I'm exaggerating there. How did TSM end up at the same spot, bottom of the league with Golden Guardians? Go Loco.
All right, let's start with TSM and their problems. Let's tackle the teams one by one,
Okay.
and then and then we can go to Golden Guardians.
Yes.
So TSM, I think one of their huge problems right now is with jungle and their mid and late game. Acadian's been proactive, but Acadian's also been very mistake heavy and bad with the engages, and I think a super core part of this meta right now is how you engage. Almost all the team fights right now are decided off of the engage. The actual fight itself, of course that matters, but I would say engaging is almost like 50% to 60% of the fight. Getting the right fight and getting onto the right target and starting the fight right way almost wins you the fight outright. And I don't think TSM's engages have been the best, unless it came from Bjergsen, Bjergsen Lysandra specifically, or Smoothie All-Star. And Smoothie can't always be playing All-Star, and Bjergsen can't always be playing Lysandra. But I do think that is a reason why Bjerg has been playing exceptional amount of Lysandra. I think TSM's come to the conclusion, hey, we win a lot when Bjerg plays Lysandra. And then the other part about this, and the other problem with TSM is they're trying to play, I would say, is a more correct style of League of Legends, which is being proactive, drafting early game, drafting mid game, and trying to fight a lot and trying to push their advantages. So that's a great way to learn League of Legends, and that's a great way to get better at League of Legends. But honestly, in North America, it's not the best way to win League of Legends. In North America, pick a late game comp, lose early game, watch the enemy team fail to win, sit around, and then suddenly you can win late game team fights because the enemy team failed to win.
Listen, we're only talking about TSM now, but everyone listening, remember everything Locodoco just said about the way you play in NA to win. Just remember that. Anyway, keep going, Loco. Yeah.
Okay.
Just saying to remember that. That might be useful in a minute. But yeah, keep going.
So yeah, I mean TSM's going against that, and they're trying to play proactive. So they're playing a harder version of League of Legends, and they're suffering from it. Where Golden, and I mean, yeah, you guys can give your opinion, and we can move on to the other teams.
Sure. What do you think? So I actually saw that on the subreddit, people linked to like a clip where you were like breaking down. I don't know if it was this game, was it? Was it the Golden Guardians versus TSM one? Was that the one you were breaking down?
Yeah, I mean, here, actually, I want to talk about like a theory I have. If you guys don't mind.
So, go on.
So like, something I kind of always thought about when people are building rosters. I think that it's important. Let's say we'll give TSM as an example, right? Where would you say have historically been their strongest lanes?
Mid, by far.
Yeah, mid and sometimes bottom, right?
Yeah, mid and AD, AD, double turtle.
That's where the most knowledgeable people are. That's where they play through. Mm-hmm. So, and then you can pair like their coaching staff as well. Like, go down the list of their coaching staff and what lanes that they're proficient in or what lanes they're knowledgeable at. Like, how about you, Loco? You're a bot laner, right?
Yeah, I would say my most knowledgeable are bottom, mid, top, and then jungle is my least. And
then you have Song, right? He was a mid laner, right? Normally?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have now Zix. I don't even know what he played bottom or something. I don't
know
what
Tony plays support and top when he solo queues.
He plays support and top. Okay, well, maybe that throws out that thing. But basically, it's like I think that TSM and a lot of teams when they're building their rosters, they don't pick. Let's say you don't have a knowledgeable person in that position. Like let's say you pick up Broken Blade, then you need to have a knowledgeable coach or a positional coach to bring that person up or teach that person to give them game knowledge. And you can see even when TSM plays right now, there's times when let's say they should be playing through top or they should be playing through a different area of the lane, or like the jungler should be doing something different, and they don't really know what to do. You can see like they're gravitating towards somebody like Bjergsen who's making more calls and like obviously more knowledgeable in their position, and they're like stuck playing to that side of the map or like wherever that person is. So if you have that like big void of game knowledge, then you're never going to be able to shore up all those problems that what they are trying to do where they can have a good earlier mid game. And I think that's just kind of like a big mistake when making the roster in the preseason or the staff.
My counterpoint to that would be, so on the original TSM roster, the Dyrus, or the one that I coached, the Dyrus, Lesboy, Wild Turtle, Bjergsen, Centauran one, and like the one was amazing. Even though we had Dyrus, I don't think, and most people are going to remember Dyrus as a tank player or a support player. I think I can confidently say my top knowledge and regarding how we should be playing towards top was ever weak comparatively or ever wrong. It's so easy to get that knowledge by watching LCK or we watch a lot of Fnatic, and we broke down, hey, this is how Fnatic plays Rumble. This is how Fnatic plays topside. These are the pathing that they're doing, and this is what you do when you get ahead. Like, you should be able to do it. I think that knowledge is super easy to just get from anywhere. And also, like, one thing that coaches currently do and players currently do, when they don't have the knowledge, like, there's so much networking in League of Legends. I always talk to Korean coaches, talk to Korean players, still talk to North American players and North American coaches for information that I don't have and that I need. So while I'm a bot lane coach, I could easily coach top lane, and I could coach a team to play through top lane. I think the problem that TSM has is their mid laner has a huge voice, and I would imagine their bot lane has a huge voice, and Broken Blade is just trying to fit into like Zben and Bjerg and like all the bigger voices.
But that's what I'm trying to explain, is that if you're knowledgeable, you're gonna be more vocal. That's just how it is. Because like, you know something, you're gonna want to be heard, right? So like, by that logic of what you said, why has TSM historically had a major issue with top lane and jungle, all the way down, like their history? And you can bring up Dyrus, but even you can play Rumble and all that kind of stuff, but that was a meta where ADCs were ungodly broken. So maybe you go top like once or twice, like get them ahead with the level 2 gang, then guess what, you're going bottom and like helping them out, so it was very simplistic how to play the game. And also, people were way worse at the game back then too. They're like, people don't know what the fuck a side wave is back then. They're just like, oh, I'm in there, we're farming, I guess, I don't know. Okay.
So ultimately, for TSM being a mid and bottom oriented team, when I coach, we played towards mid and bot because we thought that was the best way to win in North America. Just straight up, that was the best way to win in North America. Yeah,
definitely the best way.
And then during Double Lift era, I would imagine that was also the best way to win in North America, and that was how that team was going to play due to them having Bjergsen and Double. And then now afterwards with Zben and Bjerg, I don't think they were a bot-oriented team. I think they were a nowhere-oriented team.
There we go.
They were only oriented around mid when Bjerg was playing Assassins. That team had no identity. TSM just coincidentally always had stronger members on bottom side of the map, so I think that's why they've been a bottom-oriented team.
Okay, so why do you think that they can't play through top or jungle ever?
Right now? Because they don't learn, and Broken Blade is new. While we can tout Broken Blade as being good, right?
Fucking hell, right? Keep going, yeah.
What about with Hanser?
What
then they even had what about with Hanser?
With Hanser, they've been a top-oriented team. With Hanser and Turtle, that was I think that was the year, I forgot who got MVP, but Hanser was second for MVP. They were a top-oriented team back then. They played through Hanser a lot. And
I would assume Arrow won that one, I think.
Yeah.
I think that was spring season 7, right?
They were a top-oriented team with Hanser. With Hanser and Wild Turtle, they were a top-oriented team.
And they didn't have double lift. Yeah, that's true. They did play through top a decent amount. Okay.
Whatever.
If I'm ever right, it's whatever. Next topic. If I'm ever wrong, this is why you're wrong. This is why you should never speak up, and this is why you should be thankful I'm doing the show with you, Loco. Don't you ever dare fucking speak up again. You're wrong 24/7.
Loco, it does say something when you want like a fucking ticker tape parade for just being vaguely right about a team you used to work in for like 3 years or something. Like, fucking hell. Like, what do you want next? Like, you're like the kid who wants to get like bonus marks just for putting your name at the top of the SAT. Like, well, I did that right. So what about that? It's like, doesn't that count for something?
I just want fair credit. Oh my god, you berate me like so much when I'm wrong. Did you hear that?
Fair credit. This is the same cocksucker said that I found out because he kept telling this story over and over again about how the only reason like Goldcoin United failed was that they played Team Liquid in relegations, right? And they lost to Double Lift because Double Lift was standing in for them. You remember this story? Remember Team Liquid? Like,
yeah, we
like,
played you. Wait, you were coaching them, right?
That exactly. You know, this is the problem. You know the problem with that story when I looked into it. First of all, there was 2 splits he failed to get in, so only one of them was the Double Lift one. And secondly, when I went and looked at the Double Lift one, it was like a double elim fucking bracket where you could come from the lower bracket. So he actually lost to 2 teams. He just deleted that part of the story because the other team that he lost to wasn't some sick team. So actually, the story wasn't sexy. So you see what I mean? What a biased little cunt he is. He just fucking dances around.
We beat MBS 3-1. We lost to TL 2-3, and then we lost to MBS 2-3. We were 1 game from making it in twice, and that's when like LCS teams, like their salary and their budget was fucking like up the huzzah, and we had a fucking booger's worth.
Hey, I just want to comment that every time I tried to boost LCS, I made it every single time. I'm like a 4-timer, okay? I don't want to hear that.
Whoa! Give context.
I did it with Coast.
Give
a
it
0-18 team. Come on now.
Give context. Boosting LCS teams back then compared to trying to get into LCS when I was trying to get in, completely different atmosphere.
Yeah. I think actually what it was like was when you were doing it was just really easy, and then basically about 1 second before Loco tried it, just got incredibly hard. I don't know why. I know before that it was piss easy, you know, anyone could do it pretty much. You know. Same with everything. But anyway, back to TSM.
Okay, yeah, sure. Dorian, give your opinion on TSM. Oh my god.
So one thing I actually wanted to talk about was something that Saint mentioned on his. I saw there was a clip of this, which is something I definitely agree with actually, which is in TSM. While, like, individually, you can definitely point out mistakes that Sven has made on this team. Like, I don't think his synergy with Smoothie's been that great. Actually, I kind of agreed with Saint's point. Like, most of the time I watch Sven play in TSM, he actually looks like he has a very strong understanding of macro for an AD carry. Like, he actually understands that he knows what they should be doing. But TSM doesn't do any of that shit. Like, I can't remember how you phrased it, but whenever I watched TSM play, it's like Sven would think, oh, we're all going to meet in this spot now because, like, the logical thing, like, you know, we should go mid or something. And then they would all just be grouping around the map because they had a lead, just trying to find, like, mad skirmishes or just catch people out of nowhere. Like, it was almost like a solo queue game or something. So what do you think on that topic? Can you give us some more information?
Well, I mean, that's because obviously there's, like, the way you play big picture where it's like, oh, we're going to be at, you know, this dragon or whatever at this time. Like, everybody understands that. But how most of the game is played now is played through your side laners. So, you know, like, they'll push the wave up to right around where River is. And then it's, like, up to one of the, you know, either the top laner or the mid laner to call, you know, where they want to play for. And then sometimes that person's, like, making their play call. And there's, like, a big picture play that has to go on instead of, like, that side lane play. So there has to be, like, a discussion that has to happen of, like, what you guys actually want to do. But I think maybe right now what's happening is let's say, like, in that clip that I did with TSM, you know, there's like a dragon coming up, and then also like red buff is coming up. Whoever is calling the red buff is like the louder voice, you know, and they're like they're going over who's calling like the big picture play. So, and then also you can see like TSM always gravitates toward Bjergsen's lane when they're doing calls. So I think they just have an issue right now where it's like the loudest voice is getting heard. It's probably like what's going on over there. So I think that the way that they need to do their communication needs to be more of like a discussion type thing in the game when they're making their decisions of what they want to do, rather than just like, oh, red's coming up, like, let's get in there, you know? And so I think that's just kind of what's going on with them right now.
Because, like, on one level, I don't really... Like, coming last place is obviously unacceptable, but I don't blame TSM for not being that good this season. Like, obviously, first of all, they do have a sub-jungler in. Like, it's not the person they chose to be the primary jungler. Sure, on paper, it's like there's not that much huge difference, because obviously, experience level-wise, Greg hasn't played for that long. But... And personally, I didn't think Greg was that good anyway. But whatever, there still is a sub, but it's still not the proper player. So I'll give him a bit of leeway. But I have to say, as a team, this team doesn't look good. Like, Broken Blade... Bear in mind, people before the LCS, if they're being real, no one had seen this guy play. Like, no one watched the Turkish league. Fuck off. No, you don't. There's no way you do. So anyway, like... And by the way, if you're the one guy in the chat who's like, I watch Turkish league. I don't know what country he's from. I never said from Turkey. That could be from any country. So whatever country that guy's from, great, welcome. You're the one guy who's not like the rest of us. Shut the fuck up and listen. Anyway, so obviously no one watches the Turkish league. So bearing in mind, you've only seen him play in the LCS. What we've seen in the LCS hasn't been particularly impressive from Broken Blade. He's okay at best, and he's probably had a few games that weren't good. Now, sure, beginning of his career, but like the idea, put it this way, I'll already tell you this immediately. Like the idea that he was going to be an upgrade for Hauntzer hasn't worked out so far. Maybe it will. We'll see, but he's got a long way to go to get to the level Hauntzer was at on average over his time in TSM. He was a way better player. He was a pretty good player, actually. So there's already 2 positions on the map that are weak. And then I think the rest of them are good players individually, but they just have no synergy together whatsoever. Like Smoothie and Sven don't seem like a very good bot lane. Like they seem like very different types of players. Bjergsen, like I actually think he had most of the same problems as a player last year. It's just that people overlooked it because they were too busy focusing on the bot lane or the jungler or whatever. But like Bjergsen definitely has some issues as an individual player now. Like I don't know what it is. Like my theory with him always was, it's a bit like Double Lift. It's like when you've been in a team where you really in the back of your mind on some level believe that like oh, everything's going to go to shit. If it does, I have to just like carry the game. It's like you just can't trust people after that. You just have, you don't have like, you can't, put it this way, if this was like a fucking trust fall exercise, Bjergsen would be like putting his hands up the whole time. Be like, whoa. Is anyone there? Whoa. No, bro. I'll skip that. Right,
he's over eager to carry the game. Actually.
And then obviously Broken Blade runs over. He tries to do the trust fall. Everyone's not ready, and he just falls like down fucking 2 flights of the apartment. And that's just a metaphor for top lane at TSM.
I'll say this. I don't think I could ever give an unbiased opinion on Bjergsen. Like, I think it took Caps being Caps for me to say, holy shit, there is a better Western mid laner than Bjergsen.
Wait a minute. I know what you mean there. Like, yeah, at the peak. But right now, let's talk about Bjergsen right now. Bjergsen right now, the guy that has a lineup that on paper you think is way better than Golden Guardians. Yeah. Froggen's washed up as fuck, and they're both in the same spot in the league. Because that would always be the excuse you'd tell me if they were top, right? Mm-hmm. Bjerg can carry a team to the top of the league. Mate, Bjerg can't even carry a team to 3 wins for me.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't think I can give an opinion on Bjerg. So I'll ask for Saint's opinion on Bjerg, and I'm pretty curious where Saint would place Bjergsen.
Wait a minute. You can't say that. You can't say, oh, I'm biased, therefore I just won't give my opinion when the thing person I say is really good, it's doing badly. No, give us your biased opinion. By the way, I love the idea that Loco on a talk show is going, on this one player, I have to admit, I'm actually very biased, and everything I say is going to be my own opinion. Every other player, I'm incredibly unbiased. It's they're all opinions. Just come on, just give us your opinion. Okay,
so for Bjerg,
I'm so scared that Bjergsen's going to say this, like, Loco, why did you say that? You know me better than that. And then also probably flame you like, this is why we couldn't win Worlds, bitch. I never trusted you either, Loco.
I still think Bjerg is really good. But
yeah, I bet you do. No shit. Yeah, at this point, I have a question for you. Are you ready? I have a very clever way to spin around what I call bullshit narratives.
Sure.
Which is the problem with bullshit narratives is normally to argue with someone about them, you have to like accept the premise of the argument. So I'll go the other way. Here's how you do it, Loco. You ready? Mm-hmm. Based on the fact TSM is in last place, based on the fact you thought the lineup was good, you thought. It's the last place, Soccer. Actually, they're not tied for last. They would tiebreakers would go to some of the other teams. So shut the fuck up, you little bitch. So anyway, literal liar about facts. Anyway, not an opinion. So even though they're last place with a roster that is way better than the teams that are in last place with them, and Bjergsen is literally the star player of his team, so he's getting set up for. He's been the veteran of the team, so he has all the power, all the voice, all the say. Your cocksuckers, when he succeeds, even say that he's a good shot caller. So he's shot calling some of this shit. He's the one deciding some of this shit. And after all that, it's like, if that doesn't make him at least a flawed player, what the fuck would? Does he have to literally just come in with a machine gun and kill everyone at LCS?
Yeah, hold on.
What can he ever do? What can he ever do?
Yeah,
come on then. Go on. Come on.
Save me. Help.
What NA mid would you rather have?
That doesn't work, mate. That doesn't work.
I mean, he's an NA resident slot, so what mid would you rather have than Bjergsen?
No, your question is if I'm the general manager, would I have Bjergsen?
Yeah, well, who would you rather have?
That's a great. Well, yeah, I'd have Bjergsen and I'd go right.
There you go, then.
No, listen. No, Sin, you've actually solved the problem, mate. You have solved it. Because here's the solution. If we just start treating Bjergsen as an NA mid, I'm with you. Yeah, he can have that pole belter spot. There you go. So we'll put our pole belter, Danish pole belter, Bjergsen in there. And now we'll go, right, well, we're just going to film it because this guy's a little bitch who just plays passive all the time. And we're just going to put like good players in top and AD carry. Because that's what people do to pole belter, right? So if you treat him like pole belter, I'm fine. But you know what? You can't be going, only Caps can surpass the majesty of Bjergsen's last place performance. Like, you can't be doing that if it's an NA mid, can you? No one's saying that about DeMonte, are they? No one's like, to me, DeMonte, Caps, I can go either way on that one. It's like, can you, motherfucker?
I think Bjergsen would benefit a
Mate,
lot.
If the guy who is the owner of fucking Echo Fox had the opportunity, no, not Echo Fox, fucking hell, what am I talking about?
Clutch.
Yes, Clutch Gaming. If the guy who was the owner of Clutch Gaming, I don't know who the fuck that is, had the chance to get Caps, it'd be like that fucking episode of Game of Thrones, right? You know where he goes, when like Littlefinger pulls that woman, Lyssa Arryn in, and he goes, there's only one woman I ever loved. Your sister. And he throws her out of that moon door. That's what the fucking Clutch owner would do to fucking DeMonte tomorrow if he could get Caps. He'd go, I'm sorry, DeMonte. It's been real hard for me because there's only one mid laner I want. Get the fuck out, bitch. And then he'd do that tomorrow, forget potential. So anyway, come on. Now, Sid, stop, finish saving you. You have to defend yourself. Come on.
I mean, I think Bjerg is a great player, great shot caller, great mid laner, all that. But I think Bjergsen can have a tendency to be stubborn. Bjergsen has a tendency to be wanting to play tours. And I think Bjergsen would benefit greatly from playing with veterans and also giving them the reign a little bit. Also playing with a very strong-minded coach about gameplay and giving them the reign a little bit.
We didn't have veterans on the last iteration of the roster, Sven and Mithy, and
I think with Sven and Mithy...
Don't worry, you ran him out of town.
No.
Remember, the key thing I love about Bjergsen and TSM, this is my favourite thing, Sid, is because the problem is when they were winning, it's hard to criticise them because people are going to say, well, what they did worked, right? And I kind of agree, you know, on some level you have to give it up if someone wins. But here's the problem. When you're losing like a motherfucker, you can't be like, well, what I'm doing... shit doesn't work. Oh, maybe I'm fucked up. It's like your excuses don't work anymore. And the worst thing about TSM is that they take the blame and it's never anyone's fault. Now I know why. It's because fans go way too far the other way if they think it's someone's fault. It's like have a hate campaign. But like we can acknowledge in a game that someone fucked the game up. And sometimes if you are the superstar player, it can be you as well. Like you could be the person fucking the game up, right?
Yeah, I think he has to take the blame and also relinquish some control and let other people shot call and let other people direct the pace of the game. I think TSM suffers a lot.
I mean, he is at the moment. At the moment, he's like literally letting other people take control, dictate the pace of the game, do the shot calling, and shove it up his ass. Like, unfortunately, it's not people on his team, is it?
No,
like,
I don't think
problem.
so. I think I agree with Loco on that. Where the problem is like they're overly playing through him in like a wrong way. Is what I see like in their games. You know, like they'll only play around him or his roams or like his play setup and. I think that when you're in a position, like let's say when I was playing, like I mostly shot called and like I did pretty much like had that same type of position. When you have like all that information kind of going through you and all that pressure on you, it's super easy to like fuck up and make a mistake because, you know, there's 4 other people in the game. You shouldn't be like trying to micro move everybody around like that. Yeah.
Okay. So then it's Zix. Zix sucks. What a bad coach. Doesn't even know to play through other players.
Well, I mean, that's what I was. I think that they have a problem in the communication and in like empowering people. And
because you know, by the way, this is actually something Loco. You probably didn't see the video. I can't remember if I mentioned it on Listen Local, but that was one of the things actually I was concerned about when Zix joined this team. It's like I think as a coach, he's a really good coach, but like I've talked about this concept in the past. It was on the past shows. Sid. Like I think if you look at sports and esports as well, they're generally 2 different types of coaches. There's like the sort of coach that like club. Like teaches people basically. They develop players who are like maybe not as good or the younger players, and then there's players who like Phil Jackson or something in basketball where his specialty is you don't give him like a developing team, you give him the team with the superstar players, and the idea is he knows how to manage the ego of a superstar player, how to get that guy to buy into something like, you know, don't take over the game in the first quarter, you know, give the team a chance, whatever. Like that's hard. That is a skill set in itself, you know.
Yeah.
So my question was, I didn't know if Zix would have that quality because if you look at the players he had in CLG. Well, the only troubling player he had was basically like Dardoch and Doublelift. He got rid of them pretty quickly. He mainly had like the fucking chill guys. So I actually wondered, this is exactly the point, is I wondered if he comes to TSM, is he actually going to have even just himself, like in himself, the authority to like tell Bjergsen what to do to really set things up the way he wants, you know? Because if you take, that's the thing, if you're going to be the coach of TSM, like the last thing I want to hear at the end is like, oh, I didn't quite get the chance to do all my ideas. It's like, well, then why join? It's like, if you're going to join TSM, you're going to get all the hate. So you might as well just go for broke. Just go for whatever your ideas. If it fails, great. But at least you went for it.
What's that sign for?
It's just, whenever there's a silence, Storm will torture me because he knows I hate awkward silences. So I have to fill it with something or it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And it drives me crazy. And Thorn loves watching me get drove crazy.
You want to talk about Golden Guardians then?
No, here's the thing though, Sid. Even though obviously like my history with TSM, people will think I'm just hating on TSM. I'm not really. Like actually, it's not ridiculous with the lineup that they could be having initial problems. But the reason why I did all that is because you should have seen like when it was like week 2 and Golden Guardians was 0-4. Loco made it literally sound like I said fucking Froggen was going to win Worlds or something, you know, like it was all just an attack on me. He was like constantly asking stuff. So it's weird, right? Because what did I say back then, Loco? Did I like defend all of Golden Guardians and say they're all really actually secretly good and Froggen's doing amazing? Oh wait, I didn't do any of that.
I'm taking fault for TSM.
Have you ever heard that great quote where like someone says something like, you just change your mind every time you're wrong? And then the guy goes like, yes, when presented with new information, I change my mind. What do you do, sir? That's like my answer to you, cocksucker.
I'm taking fault for TSM when were they bad at? Acadian, his engage isn't bad. He's been overly aggressive. Broken Blade, he has problems.
Oh, by the way, that also does actually tie into the Golden Guardians game, because the Golden Guardians game was exactly what you just said before. Was like TSM actually obviously was leading in the game most of the time, but like how many fucking stupid fights did this team take? It's like you would have thought they were the team behind.
Yeah.
They were just like engaging all these fights where it's like, remember, all the Golden Guardians players were doing was just scaling. And obviously their problem as a team is they haven't been super proactive. Golden Guardians, they tend to just sit back and scale. That's why the joke is it almost is like CLG EU frogging again. It's like, what the fuck? Why is this shit happening again? He was even playing Carthus, which is even more ridiculous. It's like he's trying to cosplay himself from 7 years ago. So anyway, versus a team like that. Like,
let me go over TSM problems,
on.
and then we can go to Golden Guardians. Top to bottom, Broken Blade, great in lane, but does not know what to do mid game, late game, and has to be more vocal. Especially if they're gonna 1-3-1 and play through side lanes, they need to be.
Wait a minute! I love the way you do that, Loco.
What?
Like it's like the way he sets up the sentence. It contains the bias. So he goes, "Thing about Broken Shard is positives: great in lane, bad in mid game and late game." You make that sound as all like, well, 1 out of 3. It's like that's the entire game. You can't just win in the lane. There's no nexus at the end of the fucking lane. You can knock down.
It's spring split, man.
Okay.
I know. It's the thing. That's why I did say earlier. Like the caveat is he is a new player. Like I'm not fully judging him, but okay, keep going, Loco.
Okay.
Come on.
Broken Blade, great early game, bad mid and late game, and needs to be vocal later. And if they're gonna play 1-3-1 and play through side lane, he has to develop more as a shot caller and more as a voice on the team. Acadian needs to really understand some of the conditions for the engages and take better engages, because right now jungle is one of the positions you can engage from, and it's super important that you're setting up objective properly and engaging properly, and TSM has a huge problem with that regarding Acadian. Bjerg, honestly, for early game, great. For mid game, I think some of the dives and some of the roams that he's been doing is overforced, and he's trying to make proactive plays happen when there isn't things happening, and he's doing it from his point of view, where a lot of times in mid game, some other people on TSM need to speak up, and I feel like, yeah, they're trying to play through mid and get things done through mid lane when they shouldn't be getting things done through mid lane. Zeben, I don't know how TSM operates internally right now. I don't talk to Lust that often. I don't talk to Zix that often. I see them at the studio. Like Lust, like it's hard to hang out with people from TSM because
I mean they're losing. The last thing they want to do is pretend they're like you. We've got enough on the plate already. Let them fucking win and do that. Be gracious.
Anyways, I don't know how they work internally right now, but I agree with Thane and Dorian that Zeben being more vocal, and Zeben has the correct idea on how the game should be played, and he should be speaking up more and being played through more. Although he's been making ridiculous mistakes in early game sometimes, so a little bit question about that. And same thing for Smoothie. I know Smoothie has really good macro, but he's been making ridiculous mistakes early game, and I wish... but I also know for a fact that Smoothie would be vocal. Smoothie's never been non-vocal on a team. So I'm actually... Yeah. TSM is a kind of a mystery to me. I know...
Well, I think Smoothie probably might be... Just from I've heard his comms on some other teams. Mm-hmm. I think he's more probably... Some people can get influenced really easy. So let's say that you have one person that's like, hey, let's set up for Dragon. Then you have another person like, oh, yo, Red's coming up. Let's go get that.
Scroll.
Yeah. That was like Loco as a coach and then Bjergsen in the game. Yeah, okay, keep going.
Oh my.
Yeah, they'll just instantly their brain will be like, oh yeah, we could do that, and then they just kind of hop on that idea. And I think that it's kind of like what's probably
because that's one thing I actually have a problem with Loco. Even though you could definitely have that whole discussion everyone's spamming at the moment about LCS of NA only plays one way and there's you don't have to have super duper shot calling. To some degree that's vaguely true, but I think if you look in history as well, one of the areas TSM has always been fairly weak in is shot calling. Now that might not make sense because people go, what do you mean? What about the split where they were undefeated? Every split where they're monsters, they have 3 winning lanes. Every time. Well, if you have 3 winning lanes, what? At that point in time, that's like being someone who looks like Fabio and you have a fucking 11-inch dick. It's you're gonna have to go out your way to fuck this up. It's if you could still fuck it up. Don't worry, but you're gonna have to go out your way to fuck this shit up. It's just take the win, motherfucker. Come on, just take the win.
All right, let's move on to Golden Guardians. I think Golden Guardians definitely deserve their first win. Who did?
In fact, maybe that's a good apt analogy for TSM right now. Loco thought they were good looking. Everything was built pretty correctly, but they didn't know how to use their enormous dick. Bjergsen, obviously, in that scenario. Yeah, keep going.
It was too big for Loco, man.
Yeah. Like reset Loco. Just like imagine like you're going back from the lane, like you're resetting. Mental head doesn't go boom. You're gonna come back in. Okay, you're behind at the moment. CS lead shot completely.
I'm already tilted.
Now what you have to do is play conservatively. Do the smart things, make the right decisions, Loco, and then in the late games when you're gonna get us, you're gonna build up an elaborate argument.
Okay, for Golden Guardians, their second win, I think their second win was such a sham. I have no idea why TSM didn't ban Karthus. It was so obvious.
Right, wait a minute. Wait, Saint. I've got a question for you. Who else played Karthus mid lane this week in LCS?
Nobody.
Take a guess. Nobody. In fact, who plays Karthus mid lane? It's a fucking jungle champion. This guy's so biased, it's unreal, isn't it? He literally just did the most... Shut the fuck up. Listen, you just did literally the most caricature Reddit analysis of all time. He goes like, oh, the team I don't like just won the game. Looks up which champion got the most kills. You should have banned that champion. It's like, you're a scrub. Get on Twitter right now. Type in, at Reginald, why didn't you ban Karthus, idiot? Look, he got 13 kills. Shut the fuck up. Karthus isn't even a strong fucking mid lane champion. It only works because literally Froggen's played it like his entire life. Like he's played, mate, Froggen spent about 1,000 times more time playing Karthus than he has having sex, fucking learning about biology, like, I don't know, going to other countries.
Then why not ban it? If the team is struggling, if they can't play proactive early game, if the only
wait a minute, like, let's just see your logic here. So, okay, Locodoco, the coach. First ban, Karthus. Oh, cool, we just take a power pick.
Oh, guess who's blue side? Guess who's blue side? TSM are fucking Golden Guardians. Guess who's blue side?
For real. Go on then, Cox, okay? Explain for me which ban you're taking out and which one you're putting Karthus in.
Jace!
Go on then.
Jace! They ban Nocturne, Draven, Jace. Don't ban Jace! NA Jace is stuck.
Have you ever seen Worlds? Haunts is a fucking god on Jace. He closes out every Worlds. Like, he literally picks that one to go out in a blaze of glory every time. He's a god. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Don't ban Jace, ban Karthus! They can only win through late game. They're the classic NA teams. There's a few NA teams right now. I'll call them out on it. FlyQuest, CLG, and Golden Guardians. These teams, if they were playing in a different league, they would get wrecked. Because
this is real life. So wait a minute, TSM's tied for last. No, not tied. Sorry, you're right, Sid. With the tiebreakers, TSM is in last place, but he's choosing the moment to call out the teams that dare to beat TSM, and everyone else is shit. But like,
no,
teams.
These are the teams that are scaling to late game with late game scaling. Late game scaling comps, and they're just winning. It shouldn't be allowed. Like right now, proactive play is very favored. Proactive play
I
is
can't
awarded.
Help me.
What?
Say, remember what I told everyone to remember earlier on when Loco was giving his first thoughts?
What?
Where he said that about TSM, he goes, in NA, what you need to do is pick scaling comps, and then you have to wait till the late game.
But
and then listen, cocksucker, I'm speaking with my mouth. Yours is closed. That's the way it goes, right? It's an inverse relationship. Bigger my mouth gets, smaller yours gets. So anyway, you see why I had to be fucking sick, coach. I don't take shit like you, man. I don't go, oh, you're 7 years old from Denmark. Shit, please respect me. So I'd be like,
you wanted me to be like that. You listen, cocksucker. Listen, Dardog, you fucking cocksucker. That's not how we're gonna do things.
Mate, Dardock could literally, when I left Team Liquid as a coach, Dardock could literally be writing me letters like, you were like a father figure to me. I was like, yeah, not anymore. No, shut the fuck up, bitch. Go to school. Anyway, so here's the point I was going to make. You were saying, and then you let it go to late game, and then your job is just to make less mistakes and to punish their mistakes. So exactly what Golden Guardians did in this game to beat your fucking beloved TSM, and you dare to criticize them after that. You just said that's the correct way to play in NA.
No, that's not the, okay.
What's the difference between
that's
what
the
you
correct way to pick up wins, but long term, that's not a good strategy. Long term,
I agree. Yeah.
Long term, you get stonewalled. Or go ahead, Saint.
Well, basically, what's easier to play, being proactive and trying to do things, and then you end up with like people making fucked up calls and just throwing the game, which is what definitely is happening on TSM and a couple other teams. Are people who like they pick proactive team comps and then they aren't proactive and then they get outscaled. Which is pretty much the case for all the teams that were listed, like Golden Guardians, CLG. All do first 2 weeks they pick all winning lanes, all proactive stuff, didn't do anything, and then they just like hard lose the game. And then now, generally, what happens in Spring Split and NA is people are just sitting there waiting, like with their hands, like, oh, I can't wait to see what wins so I can copy it, and what won in the first 2 weeks. People just picking all scaling, picking Ezreal, sitting doing nothing, picking Sion. They're like, okay. Now we can copy that. Oh man, And then it's like, y'all got any more of those winning strats?
Wait
man?"
a minute. So Loco also dared to say the most fucking Reddit analysis of all time, like, ban Karthus, while they literally just played fucking Ezreal. Like, why not take fucking Ezreal out the game, you moron?
No!
It's the strongest AD carry. Anyone can play that shit.
Ban Karthus! First pick Ezreal, they're blue side! Zben's great on Ezreal! That's the one time Zben has done so well on.
I don't even think the pick ban like mattered in that game though.
No, I think pick and ban matters so much because TSM picked the proactive comp, and like if they were playing to win, okay, I promise you this: TSM's trying to play the correct way, and TSM's trying to improve. Gun to the head, like we have a gun to Tony's head, and we tell Tony, "Hey Tony, you have to win the next game versus Golden Guardians."
Yeah, that's like being a TSM coach. Gun to your head, you have to win the next game, or shit's going off. You know?
Then,
I understand the way TSM coach.
Then Tony would draft completely differently.
And then the worst thing is, even if you argue back original, like you have your own gun, you look over, Bjergsen's got his gun trained on you, Mexican standoff, there's nothing you can do. So, like, let's all just agree to back out the room, fuck the jungler. Let's all agree to blame the jungler, right? Yeah, okay, right. World's on 3, yeah! Anyway.
But no, the way Golden Guardians and some of the teams have been picking up wins is not good long term. And
Loco, you know what?
What?
Here's the thing. Unlike you, because I'm not a biased motherfucker, like you probably thought because Golden Guardians went 2-0, and I said the context that you were just going so hard on me when it was 0-4, that I'm now going to be like, oh, Golden Guardians are sick, Froggen's back. Like, not really. Like, actually, if you watch these games, they didn't look like a good team. They did exactly what you said. They just chilled out and basically got given the games. And yeah, they picked up the game when someone gave it to them. Like, I will say that some of the team fights were good against TSM, but you shouldn't be in that much of a hole. It's stupid if you're drafting all losing lanes. It's like you've just given up the game, like Saint says. That's like you tried it. You tried to play it properly the first weeks. It didn't work. So you were like, just do literally anything that can work. Now, the reason why that is really disturbing is, I don't know if you've done any interviews with the actual Golden Guardians players, but all the ones that I've seen with them so far, like, not only do they say that, like they put it this way, they thought from practice that they were going to be like a good team, and every team I've seen interviewed actually said that in practice Golden Guardians was a good team, and in fact every team interviewed said that in practice they were like an aggressive team who was like really proactive all over the map. So if anything, that's why they don't look like they're a very good team, because it's obviously it doesn't translate to stage at all at the moment. Like, they don't do any of that shit. They do nothing.
I mean, stage is a hell of a lot different than scrims, man. People get on stage, and then the other team's not giving you just random opportunities where they're just trading like idiots, and you're not going to get those advantages anymore. So then it's like, oh, we have to actually generate our own advantages. Like, what? How the fuck do we do this? Like, we actually have to think about the game, and then that's when like all that shit falls apart. So I don't know. Like, you can see in Golden Guardians, their first 2 weeks, they literally drafted every single lane winning down the line, like all as aggressive as you could possibly be, and then they just didn't do anything for fucking 20 minutes and just lost the game. Like, that happened in all their games. So it's like, I guarantee why they said they were doing so well in scrims is because they were drafting like the winning lanes. The other laner would probably tilt like, oh, he's like klepto trading me top, I got all in him right now, and they just kill themselves, like get solo killed, or like the jungler would come gank them. That's not gonna happen on stage, man. People, they fucking they bitch out real hard. So yeah.
Plus, there's also that factor where, like, this definitely plays a factor, because it's the same with every esport. The big problem is in scrims. Put it this way, think like risk reward. The actual like risk element of making a call in a scrim, it's not that big a deal. Like, if you make a call and it goes wrong, you just go like, that was my bad. It's very easy to admit. If you make a call and it fucks the whole stage game up, especially now we're in best of ones and you only play 2 games a week, you get hit for the whole week. You have the whole team looking at you like, you fucked it up, didn't it? Like, no one everyone, it's like it's the same reason, believe it or not. This is actually something a lot of fans probably won't understand. But one of the reasons why refereeing is bad in most sports is because, think about it, if you're the referee and it's a vaguely debatable call, like, you don't have to go one way or the other, you should actually by default want to naturally not make the call, because that way you didn't make a call and the game just happened, right?
Yeah.
If you make the call, either way, whichever decision you make, you basically decided the outcome. Well, no ref wants that. Most players are like that. That's why, in my opinion, the most bullshit narrative ever is when you have someone like, you remember when High was in Cloud9, but they'd already moved him from the mid lane, and they were saying all sorts of shit like, yeah, he's going to train Meteos to be a shot caller. It's like, he's not. Like, you can't just train motherfuckers to do it like that. Like, that's like some dude who's just like a prodigy at something like, yeah, I'll just train you to be sick at maths like me. It's like, that's not really going to work, is it? You can train someone at a certain degree, or if they have a level, you can make the level higher. But High can't tell someone how to shoutcast that game. Like, he can't just like clone the hard drive of his brain and put it in someone else's head, can he? Like, it's just not going to happen. So, like, that's why it's such an underrated quality to have a shot caller.
I'm gonna kind of argue a little bit otherwise. I think the age of shot, like the shot caller, that's dead. Like that's been dead for a long time. And I think that any successful team is gonna have to have like everybody have a strong voice and like.
Well, then
everybody
TSM has 5 fucking bad shot callers, don't they?
Yeah,
I don't think
Four maybe.
everyone has to have a strong voice. I think everyone needs to have one idea. I think now prep is more important than ever, and it's so important to just get everyone on the same page about this is how we prioritize things in game. We're gonna prioritize dragons super heavily. We're gonna prioritize first turret really heavily, and then everyone's just making the same call, not arriving at the same conclusion. It's just we had the same game plan before, instead of having like 5 separate ideas like floating around. Like I think pre-game work and prep is so important.
You think if we pull up a VOD right now with like voice comms on, like, you know, that you can actually hear the team speak or whatever. If we pull up a VOD now of like Royal Never Give Up playing with their real lineup with Uzi I, we pull up like Griffin right now playing at LCK. You think there's 5 players talking and all giving shot calls there? Zero chance, mate. Come on, you know that.
No, they've even said, Griffin said in interviews that everybody makes calls of like what to.
Yeah, you know what that means, by the way. That's like that thing where it's like, oh, everyone had a say in it. It's like one guy just sat there like, yeah, I'll do whatever you guys say. It's like there's no way like the sword's like, oh, and then hey, bot lane, come up here now. It's like obviously there's a hierarchy. Like if I had to guess, Tarzan looks like the smartest player. I assume he probably makes the most.
No, okay, so let's say like when I worked at teams, right? I when it's the beginning of working with them, I set out like different responsibilities that each person has, and then it's like and then it's like, let's say the side wave thing that we're talking about, when both the lanes meet the river, you know, with and you have this Mexican fucking standoff where like Bjergsen and Broken Blade are like, all right, who the fuck is gonna get the attention, you know? Like that's just Broken Blade's responsibility to, and then like they need to have a discussion in the game, because they actually can, of like where they want to play to, and like that's like what the kind of issue is. I think that everybody should have input on like, because every situation is going to be different in the game.
Yeah, of course.
Like you could be sitting there going into the pregame as a coach and like, all right, we're probably going to play through here and here like later in the game, but things can change. Like what if, you know, that lane you wanted to play through is like 0-2 or some shit, or like the other person has like a big lead.
I mean, then you have to adapt on the situation, but like the stronger your fundamental and the stronger you guys understand the basic in the same way, the less variations there are. Like, we send the strong person to the side lane. We send Broken Blade to the side lane. Oh, Broken Blade 0-2, but Bjergsen 2-0. Then you make the adaptation. Okay, Bjergsen's the strong player. We send Bjergsen to the side lane.
That's the problem, is that they don't make the adaptation now. Like, a lot of teams, and that's why, like, every person needs to have a strong voice, because they need to be able to speak up. Like, oh, I have the lead. Like,
sure,
we can do it with me, you know? And that's just not what's happening. And so that's what I mean more like that there can't be one shot caller, because sometimes the person that is shot calling all the time is behind, or like they don't have, you know, they're not in a good position to carry the game, and like another person, like you need other people to step up and do the right thing.
Because Loco, even though I know what you meant about like Froggen playing Karthus, like in the context that yes, if you had banned it, the likelihood of them doing exactly what they did is less. You have to give credit that like Froggen was very good on a champion that isn't even a fucking meta mid laner right now.
Yeah, I mean, Froggen's great on Karthus. Like, I'm not taking credit away from Golden Guardians to say TSM should have banned Karthus. That's blaming TSM for their faults. They got a win on Saturday by dragging out the game to late game and having stronger backline and having a stronger team fight, and a lot of that is through Karthus. Identify that and be like, hey, we should ban Karthus. This team, they suck when they played proactive, and they're winning through late game. Let's ban Karthus.
Like, think about this. Part of the reason that's not even played as a mid lane champion, what escape does it have? It's the most fucking gankable champion of the universe. Because all it can do either is just CS from a million miles away, in which case he can't attack you and can't pressure you, or you're just going behind it. Well, look at what they were fucking playing on TSM. Why were they never able to get any ganks off? Because they play one of the most ungankable players of all time. Suck it. It's true. It's absolutely a fact.
Dorian, what do you think the future is for this Golden Guardians team then? Are they going to stick with this late game style?
Well, the main question is, to me, it's not about player strength. It's about like actual. That's why you notice that's why I specifically asked you that question when there was 0-4. I said, okay, so are you saying all these players suck? Of course not. Like, they've still got some good players. So the question is, can they actually make the players work? Like, at the moment, this just looks like, in line with what Saint said, like a Band-Aid style. Like, it's just the only thing they could find that vaguely works, and they're doing it. So that's not a very positive sign, because if it's true that they were doing well in all these scrims, the aim should obviously be to replicate something you're doing there, like, for example, to be an aggressive team. So unless they can get to that, they're not going to be a top team. Obviously, they're going to win games. Like, I think if you look at this, they're going to definitely steal some more games. Like, if you look at some of the bad teams, they can definitely go head-to-head. I don't think at the moment, they don't look like a playoff team. So I guess this week will decide a lot.
So they won't place top 4. That was our bet, remember?
It's not over yet, mate. Here's the thing. Here's the logic, right, Local. What would the point in giving up the bet be now? Then I can't win at all, can I? It's like if I'm already going to lose the bet anyway, I may as well ride it out, right? A bit like you, just like, well, maybe in the 4th split in a row, Bjergsen can do fucking something, and then I won't have to blame him.
Okay. Anyway.
It's like I bet after every fucking show, like a little red phone just calls in the background, like Batman back in the 1966 TV show. And you just pick it up like, yeah, sorry, Lord Bjergsen. What did I say wrong this episode? And he's like, listen, motherfucker. Now, even though you're not even my coach anymore, I'm still telling you what to do. But don't ever blame me.
Anyway.
Hangs up the phone. Then he just calls up. Svenskeren, who's like asleep. Literally wakes him up. Huh? What is it? What is it? Bjergsen's like, don't ever fucking come to my lane. He's like, I'm not even on your team anymore. He goes, oh, sorry, yeah, my bad. I had you on speed dial, my bad.
Same. Pick a team you want to talk about. Same. Pick a team you want to talk about. We'll switch topics.
Yeah, who do you want to talk about?
Does it have to be NA?
Preferably.
LCS, ideally, yes.
Another non-proactive. I mean, we can talk about CLG.
CLG.
They're Golden Guardians number 2. That they picked the proactive lanes week 1 and 2. They're like, fuck, we have no idea what we're doing. All right, Sion and Ezreal, whip it out, boys. And then they get their wins. And then now they're like, wow, we're the strategic geniuses. Like, they're doing the interviews like, I can't believe we all came together and learned the game. You know, it's like, I don't know.
I love all the content that's being put out, and all the teams are like just coming to the same conclusion that me and Saint have been coming to every year and every split. Unless you have god tier players, it's impossible to 1-3-1 and play proactive in NA, draft late game scaling comps, and pick up your free wins and hope your AD and mid laner is better than the other AD and mid.
Why do you have to have godlike players to do that though?
Well, you need to have. It's much harder to play 1-3-1 and split push and play proactive than it is to play late game team fighting. Like late game team fighting.
I mean, obviously, like the individual player who split pushes has to be good. Is that what you mean?
Well, split pushing, when you split push, right? When you do 1-3-1, there has to be information going back between all 3 lanes, and people have to know the state of all 3 lanes, where they're gonna pressure.
Maybe you could all just talk in this language called English that we all understand, and then you'd know. In fact, that's the amazing thing about the world, right? Think about this, Loco. Like, it's like telepathy almost is real, because I can just like I wiggle my lips a little bit and go, oh, no, and then you understand what that means, and then in your brain you can put together a picture of what I just said. So as long as I actually have the basic communication skills of English, you could actually know what I'm thinking in the top lane.
I'm gonna say it is playing 1-3-1 with players that are not top tier pretty hard. Well, let's say Fnatic, right? Didn't Fnatic play 1-3-1 at Worlds, right? Where they had like Caps just they had Caps just going ape shit and fucking doing all this stuff, and now it looks like they don't even like know if they're in the game or not. Like they look so lost.
Well, the irony, of course,
and they barely changed any players.
Yeah, no, well, that's the irony, is that over in Europe, all Fnatic's doing is just sitting back, doing nothing, not being proactive, like wait until the end of the game, and they're dog shit in Europe. So I mean, obviously,
what's the big change that happened there? I mean, they only got rid of their best player, right? Yeah. So do you think they have like a different communication structure or something than they had before? Like why
to some degree? Like to me, the most telling player on that team is Broxer, because he went from literally like could be the best jungler in the world at Worlds to like what the fuck? Like he's okay, but he's not a top player in Europe. So to me, that suggests that like the Caps must have had some massive impact on him. Maybe Caps because he's just super proactive. You can know how to play around him. You know he's going to go in on certain times. Maybe he's vocal, tells you I want to do something now. Like there's a lot of people who are like. The problem with jungler is when the jungler ganks, people think, "Oh, he chose to do that." It's like, yeah, some of them did. Some of them the followers, though, you know.
All right. Well, going back a little into 1-3-1, the hard thing about 1-3-1 is there's a play that's correct out of the 3 for you to pressure. Maybe it's the one of the side lane, maybe it's the other side lane, maybe you collapse in on the mid lane, or maybe one of the side laners go behind the other side laners and they shadow. Like there's just so many variations and permutations that can happen in 1-3-1, and it's much harder to pick the right answer out of like 10 different choices, where in teamfight it's you have 2 answers. Do we teamfight right now, or do we wait not teamfight and wait until another item where we can outscale them? So you go from yes or no to multiple choice answers, and it's a lot harder to 1-3-1. It just genuinely is. And 1-3-1 relies really heavily that your side laners also know whether they can beat the other one and whether they understand the map or not. That's why Fnatic was really good at 1-3-1. Caps was Caps and Whippo and Soaz, those were the best players on the team, and they were great at split pushing. So, I mean, that's why 1-3-1 worked for them. Who are the other teams that can do 1-3-1 right now in NA? I would say TL. They have great solo laners, Impact and Jensen. The other one is 100 Deeps. While people can shit on Huhi all day long, he can flank well. He's played 1-3-1 pretty much all his career on CLG.
What about Clutch Gaming?
And also, who is it? Wait, let me go through team by team. And then the other one is Someday, obviously. Great at 1-3-1. And then, yeah, Clutch is also good at 1-3-1. All right, Clutch tries to 1-3-1. And it works for them sometimes. A lot of their 1-3-1, when how they win through 1-3-1 has been Piglet going off on Israel and them actually making plays through mid. So that's a separate one. And then the other one is C9 doing 1-3-1. Like Licorice has been really great when he's in the solo lane, and so has Niski. 1-3-1 is super reliant on your solo laners to be really good, and we don't have a lot of great top laners in NA, and we have very few good mid laners in NA, so it's really hard to 1-3-1. So anyways, going back to CLG, they did the whole 10-man roster shit. They're like, no, fuck this. Just 5-man, go back to Wiggly, go back to Darshan. All this proactive game stuff, fuck this. Just play late game and let's win. And I mean, that's just what they have. They went to the winning North American formula. Fuck your 10-man stuff. Just go into late game team fighting. And they're winning.
You gotta get those wins, man. It's actually crazy because, like, let's say you're a coach and you're in that position and everything's going to shit. Like, people are scared of, like, losing their jobs and stuff. So, you know, you want to it looks a lot better on paper to change to something that's going to pick you up wins during the regular split and then fail in the end and be like, oh, you know, like we were just burnt out or something, or, you know, have some other random ass excuse tagged onto it. Then it would be to be like, all right, well, we tried this, you know, new style for NA, or we tried to be proactive, we tried to do all these things and we failed at it. And like we ended up like dead last or, you know, second to last. Like that looks a hell of a lot worse, doesn't it? So I think that's a big issue, and like why this keeps going on too is that people, they just want to look good. So,
and also there's a shortcut right now that there shouldn't be. You can't run this style in EU because enough teams are good enough where you can't do this late game team fighting stuff. So you can't opt into an easier option and be more likely to win. But right now in NA, it's possible. You ask a lot of the owners, hey, do you want to do something that's hard that might have long-term benefits, but most likely your team is going to be dead last place if you don't do this really well? Or do you want to take the option that's easy and your team will be middle of the pack? Most owners and most teams are going to choose, we'll take the easy option that's going to make us middle of the pack, and that's what teams are doing.
You gotta get those YouTube hits,
Let's stop being a fucking loser. This is exactly what all you motherfuckers from NA kept telling us wouldn't happen if franchising came in. You told us, if franchising comes in, we won't have to worry about relegation. Therefore, we will try out NA talent and develop them all, and we will actually put in long-term infrastructure building to become a better team. Meanwhile, over in Europe, you just have teams that are just ragtag, have barely any infrastructure. They're still able to play the fucking game. What kind of mad excuse is that? It's like, why does America have to have every excuse in the world, mate? What is the deal with that? Can't you just accept reality? Like, just be who you are. Like, stop making up bullshit excuses. You can't just pretend secretly to be good. Like, oh, we would be good if it was just like, it's unfair that like Chinese people get to be Chinese and then Koreans get to play Koreans. And then like, for some reason, we're just like 10 people on a server and Pokemon wants to play. So like, I have to let her play. And then she doesn't know how to 1-3-1. So like, we had to like team fight so she could like,
why do you always bring Pokemon?
Because she represents everything that in terms of like esports, she represents everything casual to me. You know, she's like a fun time streamer or whatever. So it's like I said in the last episode, you never see Faker in fucking Korean solo queue just like bang into, oh fuck, it's stream time. Yeah, I'm in the sub wars, baby. It's like
Thorin, I have you know, Pokemon has 100% Twitch rivals win rate.
She beat Loco. I remember that.
Yeah, she whooped the Korean superstar's ass. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
Don't hate on my girl Pokey. Okay. She stomped all over my boy.
Well, the irony is maybe that's why. Maybe top talent in NA just goes into streaming like Pokey did, and then you've just got people like fucking DiMarco just trying to make it, and they're just like,
exactly.
You know,
we're all about entertainment. We're all about
it's
entertainment.
the wrong way. I've got it all the wrong way around. What happens is all the LCS players are failed streamers, and then they couldn't hack it in the streaming life, so they all became LCS players because they were like, this is a lot easier. You don't have to be entertaining. Just wait till the late game and don't make mistakes like Loco told us. Like, thanks, coach.
Yeah, Pokey.
And then Loco's like the problem Loco always had was he could never teach his teams to 1-3-1 because he could never stop fucking 1-5-1 in the club with that fucking McCarty baby. It's like,
What's up,
Keep
Faye?
going. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad, Loco. You have to give me credit for that.
Sure.
Hey, Loco, what strat did Poke use to win that Twitch Rivals tournament?
Oh, they
Sit back in lane, do nothing, and team fight.
Yeah, because think about it. Think who they had shot calling on Loco's team. Fucking Locodoco.
Oh my god. That's what we did too. We did team fighting. And me and Scar had the discussion. So we were the most experienced players and we were like, hey Scar. And our discussion was, we're not going to learn 1-3-1. We're going to learn late game team fighting because it's the easiest playstyle. It is the easiest playstyle. What to say? Like, it's easy. And I don't make excuses for
I can't even believe you're making excuses for losing the fucking Pokemon. You're losing a fucking Pokemon.
No, I lost to Pokemon fair and square.
Be an AD carry for Mig Frost. But then what happened? Oh my god, Pokemon.
I lost to Pokemon fair and square. We didn't even play them. We lost to some different team, but
you absolute clown.
We lost to some different team. I don't take any credit away from Pokemon for winning the
I mean, my god, I'm glad that fucking best lease in NA didn't get in there. He might have tore your butthole right open.
We lost to them fair and square. Like, oh my god. Why is that even a part of this show right now?
Imagine Loco has to recreate his whole career, but just as as like a semi-pro streamer now. It's just him in like a reality show. Like, why haven't we banned Riven against Box? What are you doing? Like, all the gyps that he'd get up to. It'd be like Seinfeld or something, but League of Legends style.
Anyways, I don't make excuses for NA. I think NA is Garbo right now. I think there's so many bad teams in NA and very, very few good teams. I don't make any excuses for NA right now. This is the one time where I can genuinely say I do think Europe is much better than NA at current form.
They are.
All it took was going to the final of Worlds, every prediction being wrong, like about 7 years of failure. At the end he goes, all right, I'll maybe agree. You were slightly right. I love you, Bjergsen. I love you so much. And then also, I bet that's really the way Loco mind fucked himself into being able to say that. He goes, in his brain, he goes, but Bjergsen is European, so if I say Europe is better, I'm also defending Bjerg again. I love you, Europe.
Why do you think I have a hard-on for Bjerg?
Because like I said, the motherfucker's in last place, and you're still just like, okay, he's only at 9.9 out of 10 level this year. I admit it. He has his flaws. It's like I said, Loco. Remember what I always tell you. To be fair, when you're judging a team, you have to look at things like how much resources do they have? Like, did they have the option to get really good players? Like, I'll give you an example. Believe it or not, despite all the stuff we've said on the past episodes, I actually won't flame Weldon if CLG's like, I don't know, the 6th best team or whatever. Because if I look at their lineup, they shouldn't be super good. Like, he's not a fucking miracle, despite what he claims. He's not a fucking miracle worker, Like, he's just a coach. Whereas the difference is TSM on paper have all the resources. They should have a top team. Maybe not number 1, okay, I'll give you that. But they should definitely be like top 3. Like, especially if Bjergsen is such a sick player, well, either his teammates are pure trash or he's got problems, hasn't he?
I do agree. Bjerg has problems. Bjerg isn't perfect. We listed the problems. Holy shit. All I'm
going to say is this, Loco. Think of any team Flame was ever on in NA. Even Dogshit FlyQuest. Wasn't in last place, was he, homie?
It's one part of the season. It's one.
Same cock. Yeah, you're the same person who was going on me after 4 games.
0-4. 0-4 is fucking bad. 0-4 is bad.
Yeah, and he's still... So 0-4 is fucking bad, and TSM's at an identical spot in the league. Explain, what does that make them?
They're not 0-4, they're 2-4.
Do you know what? You're so mentally ill. They're the identical record to... Oh, no, they're not the identical. My mistake, because they lose the tiebreaker. They are worse than Golden Guardians.
Oh my god, for my sanity, if Golden Guardians ever goes 2-0 and TSM goes 0-2 again, I think we should just not do shows about NA that week.
Isn't that just enough said there, Sid? What Loco wants is, like, he should only be allowed to win all these bets, and then if I win, like, let's just cancel the show, because the thing is, I kind of feel awkward when people are flaming me because I know nothing. It's like... It's
not even a flame, it's just, like, bland, like, just... Oh, like...
I tell you what it is, Loco. Yeah. You're on the stand right now, and the fucking prosecuting attorney's tearing your shit up, and you're so scared to speak because you know I'm going to catch that you like fucking murdered the guy with a pigeon or something as your lookout, and it's like you're so worried to give it away that you're like, can we just move on, please? And then I'm like, overruled.
No,
actually, I wouldn't say that. That'd be the judge.
The actual fucking explanation for this shit is like I got caught jaywalking, and then the prosecutor's like, you're on trial for murder. I'm like, what the fuck? I was just jaywalking. No, you murdered someone. I'm like, no, dude, all I did was jaywalk. Like, we have a great guest Insane on, and then we go to topics like CLG, and somehow it goes back to, like, shitting on TSM. Like, you had your fun. Like, I'll take it. TSM's bad right now. There's problems on TSM. Let's go to the next parts of the show. Like, we're talking about CLG.
I feel like I'm in the middle of two girls arguing about their favorite K-pop star, and you got Thorn over here like, no, Froggen's the best, and then you got Loco over here, it's like, Bjergsen, he's so dreamy. We go next topic.
Yeah, CLG. We're talking about them. Keep going.
Oh, are we? I thought.
Apparently.
Well, they're just bad. Okay, we can go to the next team.
No. Wait. Loco. Remember, talent doesn't exist. However well you coach the players, that's however well they'll play. Weldon Green told me. So, what do you think? Let's not leave CLG. What do you think? They actually won some games now, to be fair, so we can actually talk about them. Come on.
I think. What do you think of Darshan?
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna say it nicest way possible without flaming them. Like when we'd scrim them on FlyQuest, like Flame would just go like 10-0 in lane against them we'd like scrim them and like the scrims wouldn't even be, I think he's just not good at laning. You can't be like that weak at laning as a top laner. And if somebody's that weak at laning, then you can't play through that lane. That's why they're playing Sion, playing like Urgot. And when your big calling card is that, oh, I'm the split push guy, it's like, well, you have to generate a lead to be the split push guy, Like you have to be kind of winning your lane in the first place. So, if all you can do is just sit in an empty lane that you have like an advantage over, where you're like a aggressive lane against a tank and like hit the turret, then more power to you. But that's not gonna win like nowadays. So you have to actually be good in your lane and win your lane.
What happened to Zion Spartan days? Like Darshan used to be Zion Spartan, does split push guys. Did the league get too good where Zion can't get leads?
He was against bad players, in that meta. Also, that's when you play through bot side, so he would be in a lane that wasn't getting resources, and he'd be getting resources, and you're just beating up on some guy that it's like just two people just like stomping on somebody, and then also on top of that, when CLG was like really good, it was 2v1 meta where there was no laning. Like back when CLG was a good team, they were above and beyond the best 2v1 team.
Yes.
They were so fucking good. Like they would just, when you play them, be like, oh fuck, I didn't even know you could do that in the 2v1, or like the way they would set their waves or like bring their jungle and stuff. And they would just shit on the other top laners so hard with that type of pressure that Darshan would just have a massive advantage, and then he would just be able to snowball that into a lead. But now that you have to actually lane and you have another human being in your lane, it's
another human being in your lane.
Yeah, there's another human being there now. Then it's a completely different ball game. So I don't know.
What about going down the list? What do you think about Wiggly so far, jungler to jungler?
He's better than how Reignover did last split. I mean, I used to think Reignover was a god, but...
Oh, don't worry, Loco did. Like, right up until he joined Team Liquid, Loco would have told you that, like, Reignover was, like, the best in the entire West. Like, he's a fucking genius. Like, he's going to be one of the greatest junglers of all time. He
is really smart. So I've worked with Reignover. I think Reignover plans the game out better than anybody I've ever... Like, he just sits there in custom games and, like, goes through the game and, like, every little timing. He knows it down to, like, a second. Like, he has it all planned out. But his issue is that when something goes out of that plan, or it reaches the mid game, and he actually has to make a decision or do something that's like not in that like planned out thing, then it just all turns to like he just turns to the worst.
Loco, he is literally, Reignover is literally that quote, that famous Mike Tyson quote that says like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's like the idea that like, well, yeah, you have to react in that moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's that guy. So I think Wiggly's a step up on that, where he could grow in that regard. But I think that Wiggly's early pathing, from what I've seen, it's horrendous, and I don't know. It looks difficult because like he's playing. I don't know if you remember when PoE played on Optic, but basically Acadian was, is like his dog, right? And then so like I think that Wiggly, the way he probably is going to work with that mid laner is going to be difficult, and then you have like a laner top that's like weak at laning to go along with that. So it really ties your hands behind your back as a jungler. And they're drafting all scaling lanes. Like I see some of their drafts. If I was playing jungler, I'd be like, holy fuck, like get me out of this game, man. And I'd look at the OPGG, like I have a fucking gold player on my team. Like the fucking Riot matchmaking's got me again, man. So it's like I think it's a really hard situation for him, and you can't really judge how good of a jungler he is yet. And I think maybe if they actually start to draft around like helping him, then it could be better. And then I think PoE's super good if he's like allowed time to come online. His like team fighting is really good. Like he won't make any mistakes. Like, he plays really good resources. He's like the new age Froggen kind of, where it's like, I mean, I know
the reason that's ironic to it is because PoE's someone who Loco has also flamed the fuck out of, even though again, even he's ahead of his boy fucking Bjergsen. But yeah, and in fact, as you said, PoE, even when Loco used to flame him last year, had Acadian as his jungler. But now obviously Loco's like, that's unfair, Loco Bjerg doesn't even have a jungler. It's the same one cocksucker, but okay.
Anyway, Saint, give us more of your opinion, please. Just ignore the old angry man in the corner.
Yeah, so I think PoE, I think he's good, but his playstyle is not a very proactive one in that sense. And if he is going to be proactive, then it's in a way that is not good for how his jungler should operate. Like he needs like the jungler to be a human ward like 24/7 in order for him to just play up on people, which I think is a weakness in its own.
Also, PoE's not a side laner, so they can't. Even if Darshan somehow recovered his laning, I don't think the CLG could be a great 1-3-1 team at the moment.
Yeah, he's not a side laner either, so that's like a big weakness too. And then their bot lane is, I don't know, it's really hard to gauge. I like Biofrost in some aspects. Like I think when he's playing engaged champions, he can do some really nice creative engage. Like he understands like creative engages and things like that. But I think he also has like a lot of issues in like how he plays. And then Stixxay, I don't know. He's just your average NA ADC. So I don't. He's just there, man. He'll show up for the late game team fight, but he ain't like winning you the game or none, you know? So I think if you look at a roster like that on paper, you just went down that whole list and talk about the strengths and weaknesses, and I see that roster, I'm like, holy fuck, how do we...
Yeah, it should be pretty average, right? Average to bad.
If we get 6th place, God bless, man.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like, if I was Weldon and we got 6th place, I'd be like, nice, high five, man. We don't do it like... Good shit, friends.
Do you think that's enough for CLG ownership and CLG fans? Do you think that's what they thought they would get when they picked up Harry Bull?
Well, I mean, I don't think that. Let's say, they were talking to Flame and like some other people, like some other people that I know that they're talking to that I don't like want to disclose. I don't want to like put them on blast, but it's like they were definitely talking to like other people to be on that roster, and it's like things didn't pan out. And obviously we know about like Flame, like you guys have talked about that before. Like that's one of the things. It's like they could have had a much stronger roster on paper, and like this is what sometimes like shit goes super wrong in off season for people, like, and it gets handled improperly. And I think that this is just a common situation where they fucked up the off season, and now it's like we just have to damage control the best we can until we can make it into the next split, like time when we have like free people in free agency.
Okay. Let's play another.
Like when you say that, Loco, when you say like, oh, wouldn't this be like disappointing for CLG fans? If you're a CLG fan, you just got used to it now. Think about it. The best players to play for your team leave your team. Fucking double lift left. I mean, he was kicked technically, but Afromu left. Even fucking Huhi is leaving CLG and upgrading the team he goes to. Like, have you got the message yet, guys? You're back of the queue. No one wants to play for fucking CLG unless they've got a time machine. So unless you can bring a flux capacitor, no, I don't want to play for CLG. Thanks.
For Flame and Thorin, or for Thorin and Thane.
There we go. If Freudian slip there. You wish this was Flame and Thorin. That'd be your dream episode, mate.
I could actually we'll make that happen next week. I'll
turn him against you. I'll turn him against you, don't worry.
For Thorin and Thane, if CLG had Flame instead of Darshan, where do you think they could place?
Put it this way, that would at least help, because for a start off, here's someone who 100% can side lane. In fact, by default, he wants to do it. And then secondly, if you're Wiggly, there's a win condition. Play through him.
I think it would be helpful to them. But it's like Flame is the most needy player I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, he's like the guy that's in the game, and then somebody's like talking about something, and he's like, "Hey, like look, hey, look at me." Like, come over here. Like, he's like that guy. So, I mean, if they do have issues with that kind of stuff, then he would definitely, bring that thing. He would give them a lane they could play through. Let's just say that. Like he's definitely going to be demanding some attention. So, yeah, I think he would help them in that regard.
So CLG would be like top 6 right now with this roster. Do you think Flame could help them get even further, like 4th or even 3rd?
I think they could get like fourth or something, maybe.
But not much better.
Well, the thing is, if you think about his strengths as a player, he's also someone who's famously good in team fights. So actually, if you don't have to make any plays in the laning phase, it'd probably be an ideal team for him.
Yeah, his team fighting is actually really good. Okay, yeah, I could see fourth. I'll say fourth.
Okay. What about you, Thorin?
The problem I have with this team is I said at the beginning of the season, I don't think it's a very good lineup. Like there's too many like question marks. Like Darshan and Wiggly are probably the biggest ones. Power of Evil's just Power of Evil. Like he's done this before. Like the problem with Power of Evil is he goes by how good his team is. Like if he's in a bad team, he'll just look okay.
What?
If he's in a good team, he'll look good.
He looked great on Optic, and Optic was a terrible team.
Nah, that was the thing that people underrated about Optic. Like, if you actually go and look, the reason why at the end of Optic they like got it together is because actually that's when like they put in loads of coaching work, etc. They actually like started winning all those games at the end of the split. Like by the end they were all right. They weren't terrible. Like, for instance, that roster was better than this roster.
I mean, Optic at the
that's one thing. But you know the thing that I hate about CLG is like, first of all, yeah, the Darshan thing, mate. He was done years ago. That guy was washed like 3 years ago. This motherfucker's like Eli Manning or something. It's like, I don't care what he did like fucking X years ago, mate. Who gives a fuck? This is 2019 now. So he shouldn't even be on the team. Because as you said, the idea that we're in a world where like Darshan can't play carry champions or split push, then why do you even exist? Like, we're not here for singing lessons, motherfucker. Unless you can shot call in like short tunes, you ain't doing anything in this team. So get him out the fucking team. Wiggly, too young. Like, I've seen him a few good games. Like, I'm going to give him time. Power of Evil's Power of Evil. Now we get to the real topic I want to talk about. That bot lane is so overrated, it's unreal. And it's overrated as far as I can tell from the logic that, like, first of all, both people in the lane have the rep of being really nice guys. So by default, people don't have a reason to hate them. Like, how are you going to hate on Biofrost and Styx here? Like, they're nice guys. They seem like all-American guys, you know? They're pretty cool. They don't trash talk anyone. They're quite humble. So people aren't going to go out their way to flame them. And then crucially, because CLG last year was so bad, they got to look good because it was like, they remind me of when Apollo and Hackawar were on Envious. And it was like, since the rest of the team's a complete dumpster fire, it's like, right, well, at least the bot lane's good. You know, like they play safe. They can hold it all together. But the problem with that logic is you can only credit them when they're on the bad team. Once you get to like a team that we're talking about now that could be like mid-table, that's exactly where this fucking bot lane should be. Who's good in this bot lane? Like Saint says there, Styx is the most average motherfucker of all time. He's like the default G.I. Joe that comes with like no accessories or anything. And you can just, like, if you buy clothes, yeah, you can put it on him, but he's just like a normal dude. It's like, hello, I am Styx. It's like, what's your favorite food, Styx? Meat and potatoes. Love you, mom. It's like, fucking hell, is he even a real guy? That's why he just plays on. That's why every single season he just plays the most boring. He is a meta slave. He just plays the most boring shit in the meta. Like, Caitlyn available. What about Lucian? I don't play any different picks. And then Biofrost, this motherfucker was carried by Doublelift. I've said it the whole time. He never should have been on TSM. Like, I know on TSM they had so many good players that you didn't need to have super strong players at every position. It made sense to just have someone who does what they need. But like, you've seen put it this way, when he left Doublelift, what did did the skill vampires pop in 1 second later? No, he just wasn't that good, was he? He's an okay player. Just because he's from like NA, which he vaguely is. Like, I notice for all of y'all, it's just like, right, if someone comes like, and then in 2 years they have a kid, right? That's like, he's American as it comes. Apple pie and baseball. It's like sort of. So I know he's American, so you all want him to be really good, but like, this is what happens when you make an NA bot lane. You get Apollo and Hackawar, fucking Styx and Biofrost, motherfuckers who were just working in the DMV.
I'll give Biofrost. I'll give Biofrost one more year. At the end of 2019, if he hasn't developed.
Wait a minute. So that's all. Have you seen the way it works on this show?
That's a long timeline.
No, Sid, I get 4 games for Froggen to take deftly to the top of LCS. Biofrost and Bjergsen get like 3 years to fail. It's like, after 3 years, I'm cutting them off at that point. Listen, I'm not unreasonable. If they fail for 3 years, that's it. I'm cutting them off.
I'm sure Froggen has played more than 4 games, so he's been playing for years. But on like separately, like for Biofrost,
are you even real?
Biofrost was a great sidekick. Now he's learning to be a great on his own, and let's see if he can do it or not. Like that's
a great analogy. Biofrost is Robin. Who the fuck wants to watch a Robin movie? No, I'll watch Robin if he's in Batman. Yeah, of course.
How did that work for him last year?
Not great, but like the first Teen Titans movie wasn't great when Robin wasn't part of Batman anymore, and he had to be part of Teen Titans. The first year wasn't that great for Robin. So now it's the second Teen Titans movie, so maybe it might be good.
Right. Teen Titans?
Yeah, do you not know Teen Titans?
I know Teen Titans.
It's
man.
like Robin, Starfire, Beast Boy.
Thing is, though, like the one thing I will say about this lineup, though, is like on paper they look like they could be the last place team. So fair play that they're not. Like it's like I say, if they can get anywhere near the middle of the table, I think actually Golden Green succeeded as a coach. It's about the best you can hope for.
All right.
Yeah. Next thing.
C9.
Which team now? C9.
Yeah. What do you think, Sane? How do you like C9 so far?
I think that what's so funny about them is that like I think I think that Licorice something's like gone to his head kind of thing. That's how they're starting to look. Where it's like, oh yeah, I'm the best top laner in NA. You know, they're trying to push that narrative right now.
Do you think he's not?
I mean, he hasn't got that much competition, has he?
Yeah, he doesn't have that much competition.
But is he or not?
He's the best. He's the best North American top laner. Yeah, but it's like I think that kind of stuff's kind of like going to his head and like the way they're playing and then on top of that, the way that they're playing right now is Ezreal and sit back and do nothing, and guess what? Win the game in NA. So I don't know.
They're a little bit different than other teams. They're not just Ezreal and Scale. They're actually proactive and they get stuff done.
They are proactive, and then they know how to set up. I'll give that. Like I think Reaper D is a good coach in the sense of like he teaches, like he knows how to like teach people to be proactive, like do things or whatever. And also it kind of I want to piggyback with like Reaper on the narrative that I was kind of talking about TSM before, where like what lanes did Reaper play
Top
when he was pro? He played top, jungle, and a little bit of mid.
Yeah.
Yeah, competitive. So where is their strongest points in on C9? And Licorice came in even as a rookie, and he became like super knowledgeable really fast.
Sneaky never liked being played to, and Sneaky was never a play to me. And there's the whole meme of Sneaky in lane. Like you're just, I think you're just fitting in that narrative. Like that team was gonna be top oriented no matter what. No matter what.
There's people who can play low econ and in the bot lane, and there's people who cannot play low econ in the bot lane.
Of course.
Like Sneaky has a very good game knowledge to play that low econ playstyle. It's like when you have Prey and all them.
Yeah.
Yes. I would agree. I think that's even a good analogy. Sneaky is like the NA Prey. Good in team fights. Just gets in lane every time. Plays with anyone.
So instead of Reaper, let's say a bottom-oriented team came in, or a bottom-oriented coach came in. He would still, I think, eventually, if he was a good enough coach, he would just decide, I think this team has to be top-oriented.
But I don't think that the team would play very well, though. I think that because they don't have that knowledgeable person to teach them how it's done, teach them how the communication goes with it, what to look for, like what kind of team comps look good together to do those types of things. I don't think that I don't think they would be able to succeed in that.
Do you think that knowledge is that meticulous and that rare that if you haven't played the role, it's near impossible for that a person to coach?
I don't think it's impossible, but I think it definitely helps a lot.
What about this? Like, I would put the analogy like this, Loco, is like one of the things I think is so whack in the game is whenever I hate it generally when people act like there's one correct way to play and everyone should be trying to play that way, because the reason that will never make sense is go watch any team game in the world, basketball, football, any esport. There's never just one style to play because your style has to be determined by what the personnel you have is.
Yeah, the players.
Like, as we're saying here, like if you have Darshan, it wouldn't matter if the entire game was about carry top laners that you just fed all the resources to. He couldn't do it, so you would actually win less if you did that. You'd be better off doing the counter to that style, if anything, whatever the prevailing style would be. So to me, it's like one of the things I think actually is quite impressive about Cloud9. This is why I could see why Reaper's actually been a pretty good coach. Is because if you know anything about Reaper's career, when he was the top laner and he was a shot caller, he had one of the first teams ever to actually understand the concept of like push down towers and use your advantages, like use your advantage in lane to spread across the map. Like if Reaper gets a kill in top lane when he's on Blaze, then he's going to go mid lane and they're going to push that tower in. Like they're going to do something. They're not just going to sit back and go, well, I've got a slight item advantage when I reset, and that's like now I try to get 2 kills. It's like he actually always understood that. So if you think about it, I'm sure his philosophy on the game is along those lines. Because if you look, unlike all the others, right, Team Liquid. We'll get to them in a minute, but if anything, I can't really know how diverse a team they are in terms of like what styles they could play, because there's no reason to play any other style than what they do at the moment, and that's exactly what they wanted to do anyway, and what their personnel suggests. So at the moment, I can't know if they would do something different. All the other NA teams, I think, just play whatever style works for them. The difference for me, this is why actually I think Cloud9 stands out, is I think Cloud9 is the only team I've seen in the LCS this split that actually looks like they can play a whole bunch of different styles. They can do pretty much whatever they want. So actually, I think they look like the best coach team at the moment.
I can agree with that.
Definitely the best coach team.
Think of the analogy we gave with Fnatic. So Fnatic lost one player, their mid laner, they're one of their best players, and they went completely to shit. They lost Jensen, who clearly is a better player than Nisqy.
They lost Dylan Palco too, who's doing good right now, by the way.
That's true.
That's true. Right now.
Yeah, he is actually. He is. You have to give him credit. So, but they lost Jensen here. Haven't missed a fucking beat. They look just as good.
Reaper's a great coach. Nothing to take away. Great auto chess player.
Great auto chess player.
Did you like my joke on Twitter? It's like, why my joke on Twitter was like, why are so many NA players playing auto chess? Shouldn't they be playing like auto checkers, and the Koreans should be playing auto chess?
Why are you so mean to NA?
Because here's the thing, Loco. You have to realize it's not actually. This is the bizarre thing. If you're from America, I understand why you would want America to succeed. So naturally, you're going to be biased in favor of them, right? I don't know if you're aware of this. It might be a shock to you. I'm not from North America. So why? So as I always say, I used to say it on Summoning Insight. You know, the only reason we talked about
but
the
you
NLCS
speak our language. You speak American.
It's called American. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's why I actually know how to spell the word aluminium. But okay, never mind that. So anyway, as opposed to just letting it go through drinking water into my brain. But enough about that. Conspiracies, look it up. Right. So the point I was going to make was, I'm not from North America, so why is North America relevant to me? It's relevant for one reason, which is they've got a lot of fans, and therefore it's like a popular region. That's the only reason it's relevant. Like, there was never a competition between EU and NA. I've watched League of Legends since season 2. I think Europe was better every single season. Every season. Now, I'm not saying there was never any good NA teams. That's actually one difference you have to give me credit for, Loco. Every single season, there's nearly always one NA team, at least I always give credit to. Like, they would be good if they played Europeans or whatever. But as a region, it's just been better. So I'm not hating, but I'm just saying, like, I have no reason to hope that America gets better. Why should I? I don't give a fuck. Y'all can burn for all I care.
Holy shit.
I've been waiting for China to rise, motherfucker. I'm loving this shit. IG's winning worlds, Uzi Eyes dicking on everyone. All you little arrogant Koreans who are like, we know the best way to play the game. It's like, bitch, your best players are at the bottom of LCK right now. You need to learn from your rookies. You need to literally go in like a baby Tarzan. It's like, oh, he's a genius. He's reinvented the jungle. It's like, yeah, shut the fuck up.
Saint, what do you think about Nisqy?
Yeah, back to this C9 anyway. What do you think about Nisqy?
He's like okay, but I mean, he's definitely not Jensen. Let's just say that. And you look at like a lot of the play styles that Nisqy's been playing. He's like, I've always considered Nisqy to be a Zoe player, like that kind of style, where it's low risk, medium to high reward type of player, and that's like his play style. We're very risk averse, and he's not gonna like hard carry the game, like pop off or anything like that, but. If you need somebody to hit a skill shot and like make a pick or something, then he's gonna be that guy, you know. So I think he can work and see. Like if Licorice keeps playing well, it keeps doing good, and then Sneaky obviously just be who he is, then I think that their play style will work out great in NA because you don't really have to do anything to win. So I think it'll be good. I think they'll be fine.
Do you think they'll ever be able to beat TL?
I think they could. I don't think I wouldn't bet on it.
You don't mind like in a BO5? You don't mind a BO5?
Yeah, he means like properly. Yeah.
Nah.
No shot?
TL upgraded both of the positions they had last year, and C9 like they did downgrade, like so and you remember, even though C9 went so far at Worlds, they were struggling last year too.
Of course, they even struggled at the start of Worlds. Remember, obviously the fucking plane or whatever, but yeah, they got it together both times.
Yeah, like I think that Reaper is a good person at making something work out of like what he has, but I mean TL just has they just have a way stronger roster, man. Like their roster is way fucking better. So.
Like, here's the analogy I'd give you, Loco, is that like C9 have the tools, like they could do it, but the difference is C9 would have to play like almost their best game and be like amazingly coached, make all the right reads. Team Liquid would just win in most cases. Like if it was just a normal game, Team Liquid would probably win like 3-1 or something.
I think C9 can take them in best of one through certain picks or playing through topside, but probably so unlikely in a best of five.
And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and tell everyone right now, if y'all are complaining, so everyone complained last year because Team Liquid won and it was really boring, and everyone at the moment's complaining this year that all the games are drawn out and it's boring and Team Liquid's going to win because of their roster. If you think this is bad, remember in the summer, Jensen becomes a resident. So now they can just add another foreigner next year. So it's going to go. If you think that whole like paid by Steve meme, like that's only getting started, homie. And by the way, if you don't think he for sure is good, one day eventually, I'm going to go ahead and give you a bold prediction. Are you ready for my bold prediction? If there's ever a chance he would leave Korea, I think one day Faker will play for Team Liquid.
Yeah.
But he'll do it as like his last year to make the money, you know, and it'll be when he's only like 80% as good. But the difference is, I think Steve would do it first of all for the fucking promo. Like, imagine how you could promo the fuck out of Faker coming to NA, and then more importantly, as long as he's still decent enough, like when Ryu went to Europe, it'd also be worth having as a player.
Or
why
Bang
not?
Going to 100 Thieves.
That's what I do love as well, Loco. You want to know something that's kind of weird when you think about it? Right, in isolation, if you asked me as a general manager, like, would you pick up like Bang, for example, or would you get Impact, or would you get Someday? Yeah, I would, because in isolation, they are better than the players I have in my own region. But if you think about it, right, it is kind of whack that NA is like, why can't we compete with Korea? It's like, well, who are the most accomplished players in your region? Washed up Korean world champions that can't play there anymore. It's like, yeah, it's weird how some of the best players in your region can't make it in Korea anymore, but you guys can't beat Korea. I can't figure it out myself. Probably just something to do with talent. Well done. You fix it, mate. Cheers. See ya. I'll just put the kettle on. How long do you? What, 10 minutes? Yeah, brilliant. Right. What's that? Why are you waving that watch in front of him? All right, it's just your special technique, right? Okay.
Steve asked for Faker the year I was on TL. Steve asked for Faker the year after I was on TL. And Steve
he goes, because what happened is like Steve said, listen, Loco, like, because actually he knew that this show was going to be straight fire one day, so he'd already started the marketing campaign for it. So he said, listen, Loco, you cocksucker, you actually are not a bad coach, you know. Like, I mean, Dardock abused me, he abused everyone, you know. You took it pretty decently. You can take a good pounding. Very bottom-orientated coach. So the thing is, he goes, the thing is, Loco, I trust you as a coach. I think I can get you the player that would make you a competent LCS coach. Is Faker available? No? Right, actually, Loco, I'm going to have to go a different direction on this one. Like, what? You know, he gave me a chance.
Oh, man. TL's way of reaching out to Faker was great. They wanted to, like, speak to SKT front office, and they had no way to speak to SKT front office. So, but somehow they got in connection, and they talked to someone, and they're like, yeah, just send it to skt@frontoffice.com. It's basically like the generic email for SKT. It's where all like the trash email goes. And that's how they did it the first year. I didn't even hear it from a TL site. I heard it from SKT side where they're like, yeah, they kept asking for Faker. We told them no way, no way, no way. But they still really, really wanted him. So we gave him the email and they emailed them. But I agree with Storin. Like, TL has the money. TL can make a good enough argument. If Faker wants to come to North America, I do think TL would be the team.
What would have been great is if they just said, like, yeah, actually, you know, yeah, you're right, Steve, we will sell you him. And they're like, we'll send him over. And then he arrives, it's just like period in a wig at the airport, like, Hotshot GG has a good LeBlanc. And they're like, you're not fake. It's like, yes, I am. Stop being racist to me. I'm Korean. It's like...
All right, let's move on to TL. What do you I find TL so incredibly boring. They're actually...
You know, one thing that's tilting me though is like people are doing that thing. This is where I'll show you I'm absolutely not biased against any, like, for no reason aside from for banter. It's like people are doing that classic move that they do with every other region when it's not NA normally, which is like all the EU fans are like, Team Liquid's not even that good. They just win because NA is shit. It's like, well, logically, if NA is shit and Team Liquid isn't good, why aren't they in the mix then? Why aren't they losing games? Why aren't they looking like a bad team? They look way better than the rest of NA. So, like, I don't care. Everyone in Europe being cocky right now, real talk, yeah, G2 is very good. But first of all, it's not 100% G2 would beat Team Liquid. They have a very good roster matchup right there. And then secondly, don't talk shit. Look at all the teams who are after that. What, Schalke and Vitality are just going to tear Team Liquid up? I don't think so. Team Liquid would do really well if they were in LEC. They'd be one of the top teams for sure.
Yeah, I think that narrative is...
It's just a bit overplayed, you know. Like, I get why they do it. Like, one thing you have to always remember with, like, fan bases when it's like a tribalism, like NA versus EU, is like half the shit talking is like you exaggerate at any point, don't you? Obviously, like the whole point is like it's like when I was talking about Bjergsen, he's obviously not like in any way the worst mid laner. But my point is, if people have praised him forever, then it sounds like you're hating on him if you criticize him. But like, people go too far trying to make it that like NA are all trash. Like, come on, Team Liquid's a fucking superstar team in NA. They're really good.
And they are good. It's just they have this one play style. They don't get challenged. They don't need to adapt, and they just win. Like TL's boring because rest of NA is boring. Rest of NA is bad. If TL had to play versus better teams, and if TL was forced to adapt, and if TL lost games, and we can see a little push, it would be great. But I watch TL games. I'm like, well, they're gonna play around bot lane. Well, they're gonna have better team fighting. Well, it happened. Let's go to the next one. It's just not exciting.
They need a better rival, man. Who's TL's rival right now? It's C9, and that.
It's
it's
C9
like,
basically.
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
like, oh, that's your rival. Like
that rivalry is so boring. Like
It's because obviously, let's be real, right? If they had the right roster right now, obviously the real rival should be TSM, shouldn't it? Because it should be Bjergsen versus Doublelift. It should be Bjergsen and Jensen again. It should like that should Sven versus Doublelift. Like the matchup even would be perfect. Like this would be ideal. The problem is because TSM's had all these issues in the off season, and they keep picking up all these players, and they never have a fucking jungler. It's like it's like you never feel like TSM ever even started properly. Like everyone's still waiting for it to start, isn't it? So I can't blame them for that one. They just haven't turned up to the fight.
Dude, imagine if TSM and Fnatic were good this season. Fnatic versus G2, TSM versus TL. Oh my god, those matchups would be so spicy. But the most fun thing about NA matches are like the bottom tier teams smashing into each other, and like the supposedly top tier teams failing. And like the fucking memes that Jack and Steve does, like NA as a reason is really.
Oh, by the way, I will say that's actually one thing I'll give them credit for, because that's not a small matter. Like, Saint, you remember the early days of League, like when LCS first began, and we had actual before that, like you were a team owner, but it was just about the team basically. When like team owners became more like front facing, etc. They were the people exactly pushing Riot to be like, it should be more professional. There should be no like disrespect, like all fucking public apologies if anyone flames anyone. It's like, actually, people were against fucking banter in the early days. Now it's actually cool. I like it when they all like, because they do it in a fun manner. Like you can tell there's no real like bad blood. It's fucking sick, some of the banter they do. Like that banter that Steve gave, right? Because normally I'll go ahead and admit it, right? The like Reginald's like not bad at banter. He can come up with some good lines, especially because I noticed Reginald's secret, by the way, is he can be like self-deprecating, which like Steve never does basically. And then Jack is clearly like the cleverest one. He always comes up with some like clever angle for banter. But actually, Steve's had some good ones recently. Like, did you see the one he did on Twitter the other day, where there was a picture and it was like Ocelot, Jack Etienne, and was it Reginald?
Oh, and is the money in between them for like prize winning or something?
Yeah, and then when they were like trying to argue, like, haha, like the best NA owners or whatever, and then Steve was just like, yeah, and Team Liquid has more prize money won than all of the teams in this picture combined. That's fucking baller banter, mate. Because here's the thing, right? It's like that old joke.
They're the two prize pool OP, man.
Yeah, it's like the old joke is, right, the real score in esports is how much money did you make? Because the point is that's a tangible thing everyone understands. Like, if you beat me, right, it's like, yeah, I won the LCS. It's like, yeah, but this girl doesn't know what that means. If I go, yeah, but I got paid $1 million. It's like, oh, I might have a dry martini. Tell me more, you suave European motherfucker. Sorry, I just had to relate, personal anecdote there.
Anyways,
and this is how Thorin got his girlfriend.
Exactly.
Anyways, for TL. Okay, fun question for TL. Who do you think is the first person to get replaced?
Wait a minute, they haven't. The fuck? They're already in split one and they haven't lost the game. Why are they replacing players? You mean just in the future?
Yeah, in the future.
This is Steve we're talking about here, man.
Mate, here's the thing. Even though I said because they have all the residents, they don't have to. Now that Jensen counts as an NA player from summer on, now if you really want to, you could replace Impact now. Like, I still think he does his job, but if you wanted to, you don't really need any other import slots. So if you ever wanted to replace him, he's the player to replace, right?
It's either Impact or Xmithy,
Yeah, and that's sad. Like, I think Smithy's the best jungler in NA, and he's the most replaceable person on that team.
It is a bit depressing, I'll admit.
I think Xmithy is like the easy person to replace, but he's also like really hard to replace. He's clearly the person you want to replace, but if you replace Xmithy, like Xmithy is a great glue piece, great at objectives. I'm sure he shot calls a lot, plays pretty much everything. Yeah, he's really hard to find a replacement for.
The problem is Loco. He's like a player where, because they're like a player that he's like a catalyst to make the rest of the team better, right? Mm-hmm. So the problem is, anytime you discuss replacing him is going to be when the rest of the team looks good, like Team Liquid does now, and then you think, but he doesn't really pop off, let's get a different player. It's like what you take for granted there is the team wouldn't be as good in the first place to make him then not look that spectacular if he wasn't so good as a team jungler. You know what I mean? Like the logic checks out. It's like he's actually a victim of his own success.
Yeah. You don't. The thing is like you could upgrade Jensen. There's clear upgrades over Jensen, and there's people that do what Jensen does better. But TL's never gonna have
that.
I mean, like, but TL's never gonna have access to them. It'll be like Cass. It'll be like
right,
Chobi.
fair enough.
It'll be like Faker. It'll be like Chinese mid laners. But TL will never have access to them. So I think Jensen will be their mid for such a long time. But yeah, I think it might be Impact later. Maybe they buy Licorice or something. I don't know.
It's the most logical one.
I mean, you're just trading an NA top for an NA top then. That would seem the point of that, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, like, but I can't think of fun topics around TL. We already discussed TL versus G2.
They're too stacked.
They're too good.
Do you want to know what the real dream pickup would be? I'll tell you what. If I could make a change tomorrow, and I'm not going to pick like obviously an unrealistic one, like you say. Like I'm not going to go like, oh, Tarzan joined Team Loco. That's just unrealistic, isn't it? A move that's not impossible, but actually would be sick, is if I had to upgrade any position on Team Liquid, I would just put Soaz instead of Impact. Soaz can do everything Impact does, but he can also play carries, and he's a player who knows what to do in the late game. Like, he's a really intelligent player. That would be the only upgrade I would make. That would be a fucking sick team, man.
The thing is, even if when we talk about these upgrades, and I think, oh, Soaz over Impact, that would be a slight upgrade. It wouldn't change that much. Honestly, it wouldn't change. Yeah,
are you for real?
I don't think it's enough to matter. I don't think it's enough to matter.
I don't think it changes that much. Do you think it changes that much, Soren?
It's
you know
not.
What? Do you think it's an accident that Soaz has been like top 4 at Worlds, something mental, like 4 times in his career or something, mate?
He didn't even play in Worlds last year.
Impact won Worlds. Impact won Worlds.
Definitely did.
Impact won
Definitely
Worlds.
did.
If you're going to talk about Worlds, Impact won Worlds.
I think Soaz played about. First of all, Cocksucker, he literally played with the greatest team of all time, and he was easily the most carried person on there. But anyway, aside from that, I love the way you dare to do that. The guy plays like a fucking tank, wins Worlds, and you're like, he's fucking amazing. You're like, I bet you're one of those plebs who after the last Super Bowl was like, Tom Brady carried the game. Meanwhile, like 0 touchdowns, like the whole defense won the game, offensive line controlled everything. You're like, but Tom Brady. It's like you actually don't know anything about the game if you say that, man. Like that just shows you don't know the factors.
Okay, Belichick's defense won Super Bowl, but you mentioned Soaz at Worlds, so I just gave you another Worlds fact. Impact won Worlds.
That was a while ago, man. Come on now.
I know. I purposely gave him a fact saying that was like Soaz has been top 4 at Worlds, been pretty much every era and over like half a decade, and he's like. But 5 years ago, Impact won playing with the greatest player of all time.
You're trying to make it.
Those aren't even connected. Those aren't even connected.
Soaz isn't even a straight upgrade over Impact. I would say there's things Impact does better.
I feel like if you're gonna be looking at those upgrades, like you need to be pulling somebody like Shy status or something, and otherwise it's just no reason to even do it. I think there's no point.
TL is almost as good as it gets in North America within realm of reason.
It's true, and. I don't know. Like, if I was going to sit there and look at that roster, I'm like, unless I'm going to get one of the fucking god tier people, China or Korea, then or Caps, those would be the only people that I would even think about upgrading any of the players. And I think.
Wait a minute. Like, okay. So obviously, players in NA have contracts. So, I mean, you have to imagine that you could free the player from a contract. But if you had a choice tomorrow, you wouldn't take Someday over Impact?
I think they've had their own strengths and weaknesses. I mean, I worked with Someday too. Like Someday is, he definitely has weaknesses. Okay, I'll say that he's not as much of the superstar as people think. And he's a really good player though.
The guy barely speaks any fucking English. He's still one of the best players in NA.
He speaks English fine. He definitely speaks English fine.
It's just
the ability to understand English and the actual ability to speak it. Come on, man, that guy barely talks.
I mean, he's just a shy boy.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's the closest your NA is going to get to the shy, is having fucking.
But okay, so that's the difference in strengths and weaknesses. Impact is incredibly vocal. Like that guy talks so fucking much. He's pretty much a shot caller, like as close as you get to it.
This TL is almost as good as it gets for NA, and it's not even that great. That's the thing. What? Compared to the teams now,
they're that good.
Compared to teams across the world, like this is probably one of the best teams that you can get in NA. And then I watch Griffin play, and I watch some of the LPL teams play, and then I'm like,
Wait a minute. Stop right there. So for this to be fair, you have to do that in the past. So you ever in NA looked at your teams in NA and were like, the best team in Korea, best team in China, yeah, we're as good as it. No, never happened. So what's different?
Back then, I think NA, some of the teams in NA were willing to play 1-3-1, and also NA was competitive enough where they would keep challenging each other and get better and better. And now with this TL, there's such a gap between TL and rest of the teams. And all of the other top teams in NA, or top teams in other regions, are.
I realize now. I know how NA works.
Wasn't it like that in EU when Fnatic was popping off? Weren't they like perfect splitting and all that type of shit?
Yeah, they went 8-0.
I mean, I understand where you're going
what's
from.
great is the logic that Loco just used there is a very similar style to how he argues. What he does is he takes the exact same actual logical premise and he uses it the opposite way to make a different point. And he doesn't realize he's used inconsistent logic. So, for example, right, if NA is trash, what would be the best thing that could make them improve? A team that's much better than them and forces them to improve, right? No, Loco interprets that the opposite way. Oh, it's actually because since that team's so good, we're just sat back and there's nothing any of us can do.
Wait.
Actually, that is what's happening.
Logically, what would improve NA?
Question for you. How can Griffin possibly be good? They're way better than every other team in Korea.
They're way better, and
they're way better.
They're way better in doing things the proper way than other teams in Korea.
No, but you see my point. Like, logically, Griffin being so good has nothing to do with the other Korean teams because they're way better, right? So how can you then complain Team Liquid can't get better because the other NA teams are worse? It's the same thing.
Well, Team Liquid can't get better due to how they play also. Team Liquid drags out games and they win in the safest way possible. That's why when I look at TL and when I look at Griffin or when I look at some of the LPL teams or even G2, they're so quick and fast about pressing their edge and pressing the lead they have. TL's about slow, methodical, like very, very just guaranteed team fights, like this guaranteed late game that they rely on. That's why I'm not impressed by TL, and that's why I'm not super excited for TL, despite being so dominant.
What a hit!
Yeah. Actually, somebody in the chat said so. Griffin can actually scrim LPL teams too, if you think about it. So
no, it's not even that. It's just how TL wins the games and what they're doing. Like it's not that impressive comparatively to what the other teams are doing in Korea and in China. Or even in Europe.
I can agree with the narrative that it's definitely, it could be much easier for TL to improve if there were people competing against them, but it's not exclusively the reason why they won't do well. Like
by the way, I'll just loop this back in again. NA has forever had more money than EU, so there's one reason that you could have better talent. Secondly, you've done franchising, so that was supposed to improve things. We're supposed to, like, all these things were just, like, I can see now why American politics is the way it is. You'll just listen to people saying, just believe them. Like, it's mad. If someone comes along to me and goes, hey, Thorin, if you give me control over your life, I'll walk on water, I'll make you rich, and everyone will be safe. I don't just go, well, here's the fucking keys. I go, how are you going to do any of that shit? Like, in NA, you just, all you have to do is sell a good line of shit to someone. That's why Weldon's probably been in so many fucking teams. You just sell people a great line, like, this sounds awesome, and then people just believe you. Like, all these things people have promised you. NA's had the money for infrastructure forever. You just never do it. I told you my idea. I thought my idea was sick, mate. You have a separate room in your team facility. You fly in a bunch of Korean solo queue players, and you play internal scrims against them. You play in-house.
Well, hold on. Why did they got to be Korean? Why can't we fly in some of these astoundingly good NA solo queue players?
You can do. By the way, that also would be a bad idea.
I remember I said me and like everybody else complained about like NA solo queue being a horrible training environment. 70 ping, fucking. Right. You have to play versus like one tricks every game. Just.
I mean, by the way,
players that don't try.
That's one angle that I can't even believe that you all just accepted that. Like, if I was an NA League of Legends player, I don't even care what Riot says. I would complain every single split about the ping. That's pathetic.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Riot won't fix it. Esports is an advertising tool. Esports is an advertising tool for League of Legends.
That's the thing, Loco. That's why I say I'd do it now. Because you're right. In the past, there was no point doing it. Like, Riot wasn't going to change. They control everything. And it was like my equivalent I always gave was they were like the kid who, like, like if you were like going to soccer practice and you all need a lift from like the rich kid's dad. It's like, well, he gets to sit, like, the rich kid basically runs the fucking team now, doesn't he? Like, he's the one we all have to listen to. Like, in that scenario, like, I agree with you. It's fucked up. But the difference is that no longer applies. Like, you see the way Tencent and Riot behave now. Now they do care about monetizing esports. So now it's time to pressure them. Can we actually have a real fucking solo queue server? We can't have 70 ping. No one can practice on that. That's garbage.
What do we do? Like, what does the teams do? Not play in LCS because they don't give us the 70 ping server.
Think about it logically. They're franchises. You know it's not even called franchising, right, Loco? What's it called?
LCS.
Collective
It's
bargaining.
called something like permanent partnership program or something, right?
Oh,
Something like that. Partner means we are together in this. So now what you do is all the teams go to Riot and say, listen, we want it how it was in season 3 of LCS. Like, we want it to be where we're in the same city as the server and everyone plays solo
But
queue on the
Thorn,
best
this
server
is like
where we are.
issue. This is like issue number like 50. Like issue.
Everything is, mate. I know it's the other thing NA loves. You love to make an excuse, and then if you're like fucking, I won't say like women in general, but women I have known where like they love to complain, and I would think as a man like, oh, they're like they've got a problem and they want to solve it. But then what I learned was some people want to complain, and then they just want you to say, yeah, that's really bad, and like commiserate with them.
No.
And that way they get rid of the thing.
This is just issue number 50. Like if I'm an owner, I'm complaining
What's
about
issue number 1?
partnership. What is it? Partnership and monetizing LCS. That's issue number 1.
Is this real life? So we're talking right now about how all these teams in NA in fucking season 9 can't play 1-3-1 and haven't got anywhere close to the level of other regions. And your number one issue is, how do we make more money? It's like, you will never learn. You will never learn.
That's if I'm an owner,
you will never learn.
As an owner, why would I care about international success over monetizing LCS? I think.
Right? Do you want to know the reason why?
Yeah.
Because at the moment, right, what does making more money do for you?
What does it stabilize?
There's no stabilizing. Everyone's bleeding money right now at the moment, mate. Like the amount of cost of
they're bleeding money because it's inflated. They want to stabilize. The biggest goal of most teams in 2019 is stabilizing.
If I pay loads of money for a top team, I'm paying so they can win. Like, if I want to just make money, I'll pick a bottom LCS team and I'll just be really shrewd with who I pick up. I'll pick up the cheapest guy who's like an NA jungler and give him a chance. Like, then I could grind out a tiny little profit. So if you want to win, you're going to spend money. So if you want to win, it's about competition. Money has to come secondary.
Winning international is not going to help any of the teams get more sponsors. Winning regionally helps with sponsorship.
Who cares about sponsors, mate?
It gives you.
Are you kidding?
It gives you brand value. So it's like the same thing that when people say, "Oh, Amazon doesn't turn a profit," you know, they're operating at a deficit, kind of thing. But what they're actually doing is they're creating their brand value. So like, let's say the brand of Amazon, like that brand is worth an ungodly amount of money. Just the name, everything that goes into it, the infrastructure, all that is worth so fucking much. But at the same time, they're not really generating the type of profit that, you know, that's always like the historical thing where it's like, oh, Amazon's operating at a loss, or like they're not.
Sure.
But there's a diminishing return. Like, so say TL is operating under, let's say, 4 mil or 3 mil for their roster budget. Somewhere around between there, I would imagine 3 or 4 mil for TL's current roster. You add 3 or 4 mil to that, or let's say you double that. What does that get them? Can they even get better players with 3 mil? Like, the upgrades would have diminishing returns.
But that's what we're trying to... That's what me and Thorgan are arguing, is that you need to create a competitive... You need to create more brand value. You need your brand to be worth even more. So let's say that you're winning, you know, world championships or something, or you're competing at worlds and stuff. Let's look at even C9. Like, they made their worlds run in this last year. Do you not think that their brand value increased substantially?
Sure.
Or like their fan base? There was like some.
Well, then why did they let Jensen? If it was all about winning, then why did they let Jensen go? Like, you have like. It's definitely about return.
I mean,
about
you are aware he has like free will. He wasn't like a fucking slave or something.
The contract was over. The contract was over.
No, contract wasn't over. There was a buyout. Contract was not over. That's just straight bullshit.
Is that true?
Contract was not over. There was a buyout.
Well, then the answer's pretty simple.
For money.
Jack couldn't fucking sell Jensen on Stain.
If brand value is that important,
not a reasonable statement.
If brand value is that important, if winning is that important, then hold Jensen against his will and make sure he plays. If winning is that important, there was enough money involved where it made more sense for Jack to let go of Jensen.
People like you just spent all of 2018 essentially sending the message to Jack of like, oh, it's all about your coach. Your coach is a genius. You can bench any player.
Why am I getting looped? Like, I never said like. I'm saying,
you 100% said that Cloud9 is bigger than Jensen and that they don't need Jensen. You said that last year. 100% you said that last year. Don't lie.
After they had success, yes.
Don't lie.
After they had success, yeah.
Well, you just said what I just so fucking said.
What?
You just said that it's fine to let him go, essentially. That C9's bigger than Jensen. They don't need Jensen. You've got a great coach. Reaper's the best coach in NA. Therefore, why do they need Jensen?
Sure.
Now they lose Jensen. Oh, they've lost Jensen. It's like, you want it both ways.
No, I want it like, oh
Which
my God.
Which actually was the fucking rumor about you, to be honest.
What is it? The original argument is you guys are about winning, about worlds, about like all this solo queue and stuff.
No, the problem with that one is you moved the goalposts on that.
Okay,
one.
what's the goalpost there?
We're talking about the team in League of Legends. We're not talking about the owner of the fucking team. So we're talking about how does the team in League of Legends improve? You just like switched it up to like, yeah, but you should try and make more money.
Well, you were talking about partnerships and the relationship between the teams and Riot, right? And then like I said, no, this is complaint number 50. Solo queue ping is complaint number 50. Between
well, then
relationship...
enjoy losing.
What? It's
then
not,
enjoy losing.
It's not enjoying losing. It's enjoying
it is. You make a choice. It's a zero-sum game. You can only make certain demands. You can't make 50 demands. You have to make a few, right? You have to make them like, here's the ones I'm focused on. So if you choose to focus on profit and monetization, which, by the way, is a valid thing
or
to choose.
Sustainability or future, like, or sustainability or
don't play it. Listen, just as a personal favor to me, don't ever say the word sustainability. It's a nonsense word that doesn't mean what the actual word is defined by. What does the word sustainable mean?
That it's long-term viability.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how much money LCS makes, it's not long-term viable.
You don't think LCS is viable long-term?
Right now, teams lose money.
And then in the future, if teams will continue...
No, there's no in the future. It has never been proven in the history of esports in the West that you can make as much money as these teams with their running costs now would need to make to actually succeed. That has never happened, so you can't say it. But in the future, it's like, your company's failing, it's losing all its money. Yeah, but in the future, we're rich.
Let me say it. In the future, if teams are still and constantly losing money year by year without the valuation going up, then LCS will cease to exist.
I don't think so.
I agree. One day what will happen is League of Legends won't be a big enough game anymore, it won't justify the cost, and it will get shut down overnight.
So the league would just basically have to be dying as a game in the first place.
Yeah, but that's the problem. League's not going to play. Like, I don't know why people. This is the reason I hate all that franchising bullshit. People talk like we're going to be like this show's going to be going in 2035. Like, well, Loco, you're in season fucking 35. Bjergsen is still bad. Are you willing to concede? No, give him one more split. It's the jungler's fault. Okay. It's Smithy Junior's fault.
That's what I'm saying though. Like if. That the teams want to make this last long as possible, right? And make sure...
That's my point. Do you know the phrase, Loco? It's a great phrase. It's called rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic.
Sure.
Like, you know the point of the phrase, right? It's like, why would you waste your time rearranging the deck chairs? The boat's sinking, right? That's the fucking League of Legends ecosystem. Right now, not only does no one know if you'll ever make a profit from League of Legends, but at the moment, people just keep putting more and more money in, hence franchising. And yeah, they're trying to make some back, but it's like turning more and more taps on in a bathtub that has loads of holes.
But that's what I'm saying.
You need a million taps to make the bathtub stop running down.
That's the bigger problem for teams and Riot to solve, more so than solo queue ping in NA. Like,
then stop complaining then. Okay, like, you know what? You can only have it one or the other way. You can either complain because it's valid, so you're saying they're focused on monetization. In that case, accept that you're a fucking wildcard region and shut the fuck up.
You can have a complaint be valid, but still not be prioritized. I'm just saying solo queue ping is not going to be prioritized over the bigger issues that are at hand. You're saying...
Yeah, you're right. So there you go. NA's dead. Right, move on. Talk about another region. Right, sorry fans, this show is only about sustainability for LCS, so in the next episode, Loco will have on some people from the Esports Observer to show you a PowerPoint presentation about monetization of fans within the Milwaukee area. Now, I won't be here because I'll be off talking about interesting shit like League of Legends and not making excuses for Danish mid laners, except the good ones.
All right. Well,
see what I did there? Got it at the end.
Okay, we held a sidetrack. Next team, 100 Thieves. Saint, what do you think?
What?
What do you think of 100 Thieves?
All right.
Because, by the way, I tell you the biggest fucking thief on that team is. His name's Huhi, and this motherfucker's stealing checks every day. Imagine waking up and seeing that guy.
I don't know.
That's my mid laner.
Okay, well, I'll ask the question again. Well, first off, I think importing an ADC is the biggest trap ever. Like, you should...
Not only that, mate, it's worse than that. If you're going to import someone, like... You know there's certain, like, okay, I'll give you an analogy. I want to ask you this, right? So if you were going to import a Korean or a Chinese player, let's say, because in the future, actually, it should be valid actually to import Chinese players eventually. They're getting as good as Koreans. So let's say you import some Korean. You want it to be like a superstar player, right? You want it to be someone who's going to like take over the game, because the idea is, because he's not good enough in Korea anymore, you want him to still be like among the best in NA and make you win. So if I'm going to recruit someone, the last person I'm recruiting, someone like Bang, his playing style doesn't even suit carrying the game. Like, he's got to have a good team to carry the game.
But he likes being in America.
Like, Bang is like the fucking Korean sneaky. Like, you wouldn't recruit him and then go, right, I've got the star player of my team. He's going to dominate. It's like, no, you need a team around him.
Yeah. Bang loves cosplay.
Yeah, Bang loves cosplay.
It's like my joke in the past. Remember irony is, like, actually, the conspiracy world means I can't use this code anymore. But my joke used to be like, if you go to NA, if you're Korean, the way you sell them on it is like, no, the pizza is really delicious in America, you know. And my joke was like, you get girls finally. Like, that's how you should sell them. And no wonder Bang wants to be there. Look at his fucking name. It's just time to go. I'm a world champion, baby.
Dude, I think that meme is.
You want a little half SKT baby inside you?
God.
Well, I mean, I just think that importing a for your bot lane is just a waste. Like, if you're gonna use import slots, they should be used on top or mid. Like, you need to have somebody that's very knowledgeable, like very mechanically good. Like someday, that was a good import person. I think that they should have put the import into like the jungle slot or definitely somebody different than Hui.
Jungle import is also a trap unless it's European.
Unless it's European.
Yeah, because of the English part. Jungle imports are so hard to make work.
That's true. Okay, so we basically just need top or mid.
Yeah, top or mid. That's it.
Like, so imagine. Well, who would they get for ADC then? Let's say in a bizarro world where they imported a different mid laner. Let's say they got like BDD or some random person. I'm just gonna say some random.
Yeah, let's say BDD. Let's say BDD.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who would they have as their ADC at that point with that promo?
Turtle. Do anything to buy out Turtle.
That'll never happen. His contract's too tight. Anyways, give me another.
It depends. Here's the thing: if we actually do get BDD, so we're talking about like we've got a fucking sick mid laner and a good top laner, you don't even need a good AD carry. Just get fucking Stixer or someone. Just get someone okay. You don't need some super stuff. You've got BDD in mid lane in NA. Are you kidding me? You're aware this is the region where DeMonte plays Akali once and doesn't just like instantly flash inside the base and then just exit the game, and everyone's like, "Oh my god." Just like fucking, like fucking, it's like the Super Bowl, fucking jets are flying over the top. USA.
Actually, for once, Chad is right. If you get BDD, just get a Polo.
Yeah, I would take that. I would take like an Apollo and an Afro. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like, you just have a role player. I mean, then he would basically fill the exact same slot that, whatever it is, the Masquerade. What the fuck? Cody Sun. Whatever Cody Sun fills.
At least Apollo won't randomly die in team fights and cause internal problems.
Yeah. So I think that'd be completely fine. And then,
you know, the problem is, a side point, I do actually think that that's one reason why Cody Sun got flamed. It's just because he triggers in all of us that experience, if you've ever played support, of where like you've done such a good job. You've got your ADC through laning phase. He's got his like 2 or 3 items. You come into the team fight, and then the motherfucker just like flashes and just gets caught and killed. And you're like, what the fuck? The game's over now, you idiot. Why have you done that? It's like he's actually like the solo queue ADC, the nightmare solo queue ADC every fucking support's ever had. But you're just doing it in pro play.
what do you think about their jungler?
Anda? I think Anda's really good mechanically. And when I watched him play at Worlds, he was really good. When I watched him at the in-houses, he was really good. But Anda has a critical weakness that jungler, it makes it so hard for him to succeed as a jungler, which is he's not
born in North America.
What?
No, keep going. Come on. What was it? What was the real answer?
He's not vocal, and he can't shock
He
off.
doesn't talk at all. He doesn't talk.
If only there was a guy who's North American, really vocal, a sick jungler. I can't think of anyone anyway. Keep going. So
Does he have a good or bad hairline?
put it this way.
Put me in, coach.
He has a shit haircut, but that's also like, that's how you know he's good. If he's such a nerd, he doesn't even care about his hair, get him in the game. Whereas when I see Darshan coming out, who literally looks like he's got a fucking wig on, like he's out of a movie or something, like, you know, when they have like, it's all colored, it's like, he has the sort of hair that like an old, like 50-year-old African-American woman has when she's in showbiz and she has like her own talk show. That's like Darshan's hair. It's like all coiffured up in like a circle, like a fucking meringue on his head, and it'll be like dyed green or some shit. He's like, "Hey guys," it's like, let's just start singing. Obviously, so, I can show you the world.
Well, that's one person that we'll never get on the show.
Actually, I reckon we could have him on. He's a nice guy. He likes me. You have to understand, some people can take it. You know, I mean, he's been on CLG his whole life. He can take abuse. He's obviously a sadomasochist to me. Like,
There's some people I feel like we can get on the show for sure. So people like Weldon. So someone commented, "You guys talk about Weldon all the time. Why don't you bring him on the show?" Like a minute or two of that comment existing, this comment was liked by CLG Weldon Green. So, but anyways, yeah. Saint, do you think Dardoch would work on 100 Thieves?
No, I think. What were the issues with 100 Thieves last split or last year? They had
the whole issue with Meteos, and then obviously Cody Son.
Yeah, so they
It
basically
was a bit played out.
they couldn't deal with egos and internal issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that? I mean, you can tell me Dardock's reformed all you want, or like he's. I've heard that story so many times, man. I mean, I don't know personally if he's reformed or whatever, but
You know what my theory is? I'll give you one, okay? Right, bearing in mind, like, definitely humans can undergo growth and mature as people.
Especially
The
18,
problem
19.
is- listen, but the
You
problem
can,
is
yeah.
there's two factors that make that happen, and they're basically the same factor. It's just they're described differently. You either get older, which gives you time to gain life experience, or you have specific life experiences now that get you accelerated. So you can only do it by actually experiencing life is how you can improve. You have to work on your mistakes, reflect on your problems as a person, try and improve in areas, look at your communication. The whole point is just being alive alone doesn't do it. That's why the angle I always used to say about Doublelift was so overrated. It's like, if you really look at Doublelift's career, he's a little bit better in terms of he's learned a bit more how to communicate with people and he's got some leadership. But part of why he was such a bad teammate is he was also on some fucking bad teams. Like, you had teammates that just collapsed in the playoffs every time. You had teammates who didn't know how to communicate themselves and were mad passive aggressive. When you put him on a team with winners and people who have great mental attitude and good court, yeah, unsurprisingly, he's not going to have those problems. So because there's not those problems, it's going to be so much easier to improve. It's like you give him the best chance to improve. So my theory with players like that is, first of all, you get them the kind of teammates that aren't going to like break down because they say something vaguely mean to them. There's people out there like that. And then the second thing you need to do is you've got to actually give them, the key thing is, it's not that they've completely changed, but if they just notice what the mistakes were last time, then at least when they start the new relationship, they have that in mind. So at least they don't start on the worst terms. Hopefully, each team they join, they start a little bit better than last time. And then, yeah, if things go to shit, maybe the same issues come up. But, you know, at least you're making like incremental moves in that sense.
Yeah,
So I'm
like-
with you. I don't think Dardock's fully reformed.
well, I mean, I
I
think
don't think so.
I
It's
think
just who he is as
he's a
person.
smart kid. Like, he got kicked off
He's
3
smart.
teams. Like, after
Yeah.
you get kicked off 3 teams, don't you think at a certain point...
Loco,
it was-
be careful what you say there.
hold on,
mate.
no,
What?
hold on.
What?
I get it.
Careful
Yeah,
what you say there. mate.
Okay, it was Loco's fault the first time, and then it was Tony's fault the second time,
Yeah,
and then it was Nero's fault the third time.
yeah.
But I still keep getting kicked. Loco, Tony, and Nero. Maybe there's another person that's problematic. Oh wait, I was on Phoenix with twice, on Echo Fox and NTL. Maybe it was Phoenix. Is there someone I was on the same team with 3 times? Maybe that.
This sounds like Loco trying to make excuses for Bjergsen, doesn't it? It's just like running through all the teammates, all the teams he was on. Oh, and then also it was like actually like Sagittarius was in the constellation of Leo at the time, and my dark moon was rising. So yeah, you know, it was a bad month for me all in all. I wasn't feeling the good vibes.
I think at a third point, Josh is gonna be like, wait, it was me all along.
No, I think he could be helped, man. I actually think I'm sure Dardock learned, and he's not in the same place where he was smashing keyboards over Loco's head or whatever the hell he did. But I think that I think that's why I brought up what 100 Thieves problems were last year. I'm sure probably is a pretty good coach, but I don't think that his strengths lie in mediation and mentorship and problem solving, egos and all those types of things. So I think that putting somebody like Dardock into that system where you already know what your weaknesses are is going to backfire.
Along those lines, my problem I have often is I can't remember if someone told me something in an actual interview, like, or if they said it like privately. So generally, I just don't say anything if something said privately. So I won't say who said this. I can't remember if it was in an interview or not. But I was told by a couple of people who have been behind the scenes in teams that Prolly was in, that basically in line with what you said there, it's like as a coach, he's the sort of person where it's like, he might try to like get between players who are arguing or something or don't get along, but like he's not like the team dad. Like if that's happening, well, it just happens. It's like you just deal with it. It's like that's a factor. Okay, he just coaches the team. Like he's not someone. It's like, that's why I gave the analogy of Zix before. I imagine it's probably similar with him. He tells you what to do in the game. He tries to do some basic stuff. He's not going to like fucking become the father figure for a player and develop them and bring them up. Like that's not going to happen. Also, by the way, that's an unreasonable expectation for a coach. Why the fuck should you have to do that as a coach? Your job is just fucking coach the game. People expect way too much.
I don't know, man. You ever read like any like basketball books or anything like that?
Yeah, read all of Phil Jackson's books.
Phil Jackson. He was just like, all right, Kobe, shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
but he was
we're gonna wrangle that ego.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes to be a good coach, And like, let's say we'll use Reaper as an example. From my understanding, from what people tell me, is there's like a good cop kind of bad cop thing going on there, where where Reaper's like the friend and the dad kind of person, and then Jack has to be like the bad guy. It's like, all right, internet's off at 2 o'clock. Like, we're cutting it off, Sneaky. He's like, but I gotta cosplay, no. And yeah, so like they have that type of dynamic. I feel like in order for a team to succeed, you need to have like that good, like I'm gonna bring you along kind of person, and to help like develop and grow them. And then you need the bad person too. This is like, all right, listen up, you little fox. Like, we're gonna learn how to 1-3-1.
Doran, why don't you and I coach a team first? But why don't we coach TSM during summer?
Would work, right?
Oh god.
What if you and I coach TSM during summer? Do you think we could bring them to Worlds?
Of course. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, mate. Like, what people don't know is, I'd be the only person who'd get to Bjergsen, mate. I'd be the only one who'd get to him. Because unlike all the rest of y'all, I don't put him on a fucking pedestal. He's just a human being playing a game. He's a very good player, but like, this is the dumbest thing. People have really treated Bjergsen like he was the faker of NA. Like, they've treated him as though he was like so far above and beyond everyone else. Like, that was always exaggerated. Like, any little shit TSM fan out there who thinks that Bjergsen was like way better than Jensen when Jensen was on Cloud9. What universe do you live in? Like, he had a better fucking team. Remember, TSM with Doublelift and Bjergsen was two of the best players just on the same team competing for the MVP. Who did Jensen have? What, Sneaky and Impact? Sick. Like, brilliant. Like, how was he supposed to win the fucking game? Like, Bjergsen was marginally better, maybe, or equal. Okay, fair enough. But people always exaggerated that. So the point is, when you have star players like that, it's like what Saint's saying, hey, you've got to be able to reach the star player. You can't put him on a pedestal. If you're the coach, you can't put him on a fucking pedestal, can you? You're never going to be able to coach the team, because it's like the concept that they use in the Patriots. It's like, if you can't criticize the star player, well, then how can you criticize like the second best player? Why doesn't he just go, why do I get special treatment? I was doing pretty well. And the last thing you ever want in a team is people just going like, well, he played the worst, so just coach him. It's like, no, I coach everyone, don't you daft cunt.
You daft. You can't use that word here, Thor. No.
I'd use that all the time, mate. I'd be all over that word. All up in that shit.
Saint, what do you think of Hui?
Please.
He doesn't, if possible.
I don't know. I watch his games and he's just either existing in the game. That's pretty much like the best I've seen from him, where he just exists in the game.
He carried out
the problem with Hui.
It's just like, oh, he made it through. He loaded into the game, guys. Nice.
There's actually a saying, Loco, I don't know if you know, like, I always ask you if you know these sayings, by the way, because I don't assume that you know every like saying in the Western world. Like, maybe you didn't hear this one because you were in Korea or something, but there's a saying that says like something like half of success is just turning up. Mm-hmm. Hui actually proved that wrong.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I don't know, man. He just looks so weak in his laning, and like the types of mistakes he makes are just you can't have those mistakes in this like late in the game. It's you can't do it. It's just too much. So
I think, no joke, this signing is going to go down as one of the worst signings in the last few years.
Ever?
Like, it doesn't look like it's going to turn. No, I'm not going to say ever. Like, that's a bit harsh. Like, of the people they had available, let's be real. Like, the only choices they really had in 100 Thieves was probably people like Pobelter, which I would have taken him. But fair enough, it's not like a massive difference.
Wait, I would have definitely taken Pobelter.
No, but I mean, to normal people, they're going to be like, that's not a fucking huge upgrade. It's like, whatever. So
I mean, they probably could have gotten like PoE or somebody too. Like,
that would change their scope.
Sin, here's the thing, right? I think we need to have an honest discussion now, because Loco, as usual, he's so bitch made, it's unreal. He purposely didn't bring any of this up when you were talking about CLG earlier, but Loco hard flames PoE, by the way. He thinks he's a bad player.
What? I called him the third best mid laner in NA last year. That's a bad player.
Okay. You can't give him that, man.
I'd need verification for that. I don't think you did that well.
Okay. I definitely did that. I definitely did that. As much as I flamed him,
you were like, his builds are bad. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing in the lane. Like,
his builds are bad. Oh, you can be a great player and still have parts of your game that are missing or that are flawed, and you can get criticized on it. Anyway,
I mean, the way I view it is like, and you're gonna probably flame me on this storm, but after Jensen and Bjergsen, every other mid in NA is just, it's like, who gives a fuck? It's like
to some degree, I agree.
Just throw him in there, man.
That's why I actually say personally, I think that people go way too harsh on Pobelter. Like, I know he did bad Worlds, but fucking first of all, almost everyone from NA does. So that doesn't make sense. Domestically, Pobelter is always fine.
Yeah,
he's never been bad ever for a split his entire life. Even when he was on that dog shit Winter Fox team, he was actually the best player.
Yeah, I like Pobelter. And then when we were even looking to pick people up in the FlyQuest off season, like the most important thing to me was like attitude and obviously just the way the role they can play inside the team. You know, like you could have a player that's very resource demanding or is going to play in a certain way, and sometimes you need somebody to be like, I want to say Pobelter can't play with the resources, but sometimes you need like a player like Pobelter. He's like a workhorse. Like he'll get the job done. And like I think that if 100 Thieves had a player like that, somebody that is just gonna show up and get the job done, let someday do his thing. You imported fucking Bang. Like I hope to God he's gonna do something good. Like you just wasted an import slot on that. Like why don't you bring in somebody that's gonna be
Also, come on, think about this, right? Remember, you also have to think in people's careers of what their past circumstances were like, because no matter what you think, your circumstances will have an influence on your success, like the type of person you played with, the type of team environment you played in. So one of the reasons I actually told you that I was quite nervous this year for Sven is because all of his success came with one support player. It's a support player very famous for bringing up AD carries and for macro shot calling. So when you put that guy with a different support, I can't know that he's going to be as good. It's not like a team player like Doublelift or Forgiven who's been with a bunch of different players and they're always good with anyone. I don't know if Sven is. So along similar lines, when you look at Bang, imagine waking up one day. Like one day you go to bed, Faker was your mid laner. The next day you wake up, Hui's your fucking mid laner. Like you're not even going to have any clue what's going on in the game, are you? You're going to be like, is mid open? What's going on? What the fuck is going on? It's like... How are you going to possibly cut? Mentally, I can imagine he's just breaking down. He's like one of those guys who's in like a fucking submarine and they're getting that like illness where you get like psychological problems in a submarine. Like, shit, I'm losing my shit. It's like, that's Bang on 100 Thieves right now, mate. He's ready to blow. He is ready. Wait, I mean, the team's blowing generally, but he's ready to blow in the other sense.
He has a nice girlfriend and a nice husky. So.
I bet you know what my assumption is, Loco. You know what? I've never met Hui, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and bet. Not only is he a nice guy, I bet he's one of the nicest guys ever. You know why?
Why?
How the fuck else would he be in a team right now? He's not good at the game League of Legends, so he has to be good at something, right?
Jesus.
Has to be a nice guy. I bet, you know what? I bet after you lose a game, he gives you the best fucking hug of all time. He tells you everything will be better. And then I bet he fucking plays like co-op games with you and he sort of supports you and helps you win the game and you feel like the hero. And you go, you know what? He's a fucking sound guy. But then the problem is when you're in the game, you go, shit, my entire life's winning at this game, and this guy's fucking albatross around my neck.
Nice girlfriend, nice dog. I will not talk bad about him. Zane, do you think then signing Bang was a mistake? And do you think Bang hasn't lived up to his expectations?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is that it could have worked if they brought it. There was options, and I think if they had signed a stronger mid laner, which they definitely probably could have done, maybe they didn't have the budget to do it after I'm sure they spent a lot of money on Someday and Bang. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I feel like they just could have gotten somebody like way better for the position. Like if they had Pobelter or PoE, I'd be like, okay, nice. Like that's easily top 3 team. Like the team's going to go to Worlds. But now I look at it, I'm just like, damn, dude, this is a fucking crap toss. Like who the fuck's going to get that third place spot at Worlds? Like, who's going to get it now? Yeah. It's going to be hard.
All right. Do you think Afro's declining? Because that's what a lot of people are saying. Like Afro's on the decline. Like this is going to be Afro's last season. He's going to retire after this year. Do you think like there's truth in that, or do you think people will be reacting?
I mean, he looks kind of burnt out, even when you hear him talk. And I don't know. I watched his interviews and all that. He reminds me of when I played on Gravity, where, all right, guys, I'm showing up. All right, we're here. Oh, we're gonna do an interview. Yeah, our team, we're working on it. We'll be better next game. Like it just it looks like he's been neutered or something. Like it's just, I don't know, man. You can only play the game for so long, and you need a break. Like he hasn't. When has he ever taken a break or not played a split?
No, never. He's always played.
Yeah, that's
fine. Oh, no. I think he had to split off like early in LCS when they kicked him out of CLG for like one split or something. But yeah, aside from that, I think he's been in the whole time. The thing is, though, Sid, here's the difference. When you retire, what season did you retire in? Like season 5 or something, I think?
Yeah, it's 5.
Right, so season 5 was still like a very different world from now. Here's what I think happens every off-season. Afromu thinks like, right, you know what? I've accomplished a lot in League. I'm probably not going to be on the best team. Like, am I ever going to go deep in Worlds? Who knows? Like there's much to accomplish. And then what he does is he just pulls up Craigslist and he starts looking at like listings of stuff like, fuck. Yeah, apartments in LA, they are pretty expensive, aren't they? Let's have a look what the job market's like. I don't have any of those degrees. And then, even then, that's what starting salary $45,000. And then he goes, I reckon I can play another year. And then he comes in and he negotiates his deal, gets his fucking, I don't know, 15K a month. And then he goes, oh yeah, Travis, I hope we do well this split. 10 minutes, right? Yeah, oh, well, see you anyway, see ya. And then he goes off to the Korean barbecue like everyone else.
I mean,
in a nutshell.
Also like getting shit on, you know, it's hard to be, you know, like hyped, like, oh, we're gonna do well when every time that they show up at Worlds, like 100 Thieves look horrible at fucking.
Oh, after Worlds last year, like it's gonna be hard.
How are you gonna be excited after that? Yeah, how are you gonna be excited after that? Where it's like, we'll get them this time, you know?
We went to Worlds, other teams didn't. First franchise Worlds, yay!
Yeah, so I definitely understand how he could be beaten down, but I don't know. Beats me, man.
Okay.
Give him something to work with.
Final 100 Thieves question. Do you think if the team stayed with Ryu over Huhi, they'd be better?
No. I think Ryu was a wash, too.
The thing is, Ryu, as a player over his career, is obviously way better than Huhi over his whole career. But the problem is, like, the last few years, Ryu did look like when he came to NA, at least, he looked like he was mailing it in. Like, my theory on that is, like, he wanted to play still, and then Prolly's obviously his boy, so they just were like, fuck it, let's just keep playing together. But, like, it doesn't look like he was super motivated to win.
Yeah, that's like the feeling I got too. It looked like he's just here for the paycheck kind of thing.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is also a bad thing. Like, this is another thing I think actually NA needs to really put in time and effort on. Is like when you import people. I know in the interview they're never going to say like, so would you like to play for TSM? You're not like, yeah, sure. NA is a dog shit region. I thought, fuck it, why not just make some money? Anyway, I'm in. It's like, obviously, they're not going to say that in the interview, but like, you do need to actually try and test if these people really care still about the game. I know it'd be hard, but like, you'd have to have someone skilled in the interview to know what they're saying, but like, you've got to identify who's coming to mail it in, because some of these recruitments don't make sense. Like, I'm so sick of seeing Koreans come and just play one last year and then just fuck off. Like GBM and stuff like this is just garbage. Like, you shouldn't be recruiting these players. It doesn't matter.
Hey, now GBM's in the Turkish league or some shit, man. He's over
exactly.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
one of these days, I don't know if it'll ever happen. Sadly, I've been, you know, like, because I have that policy I told you earlier, Seth, like, I don't generally sell like secret things that I was told behind the scenes, because it's kind of BM if you were told them privately. So I don't do it personally. So I have to hope that these things get revealed. And it's never been revealed what the fuck went on with GBM when he was in NA. But if that story ever comes out, it's so good.
Wait, he was never good. He was just never good.
It's worse than that, though. Some of the shit he pulled was like so outrageous. Like the behind. I'll tell you later. Some of the stuff he was doing was ridiculous, mate. It's like one of the maddest stories I've ever heard.
Energy was a shit show.
Clown. Absolute clown. Yeah, of course.
No,
because NRG is just like Echo Fox. Whoever the fuck these owners hire are the most bomb-ass GMs of all time. You know, I'm going to say it right now. Again, same thing with Rick Fox, but he's such a nice guy. Yes, sadly, being a nice guy doesn't make your sports team win. You actually have to be competent and hire the right people. All Echo Fox does is just hire bomb after bomb who just puts together garbage lineups, then goes, here's the bill, Rick. Sign off on this check for like $10 million. He's like, haha, I love esports. He's like, get the fuck out, you clown.
Yeah, no,
anyone can get it on this episode. Don't worry.
I went to so I had just boosted Coast into LCS, and Energy reached out to me to, you know, because they bought the team, like, oh, we want to try out to coach the Energy team, and I went to Korea to boot camp with them, and they had like GBM and Impact and all these other people in there, Wild Turtle, Alltech, and I don't know, man. The first couple scrims I saw with GPM, I was just like, holy fuck, is this a real person? And then but the management like had this mindset is like, oh, this is our star player, like what he says goes kind of thing, you know? And I'm just like, get me out of here, you know? It was actually so bad scrimming with him, like the Korean teams wouldn't scrim us anymore just because he would just run the fuck down like every game. He would be playing like Caitlyn mid, like Emax Caitlyn mid and shit, and I don't know. But there's just his whole thing going to NA. And wait, did you coach GBM, Loco?
No, but was
he the Goldcoin?
No, he was never with Goldcoin. But
he was a United, right?
Yeah, he was a United. But I know GBM pretty well, and I knew NRG pretty well, and I heard of the stories on NRG too.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm done putting him on blast, but fuck, dude, that whole situation, that was a tilter, man.
Like, essentially, he's the ultimate example of someone who just came to NA and didn't take it seriously, basically. That's the short way of saying it. You know?
Yeah, definitely. That's like, he's the epitome of it, so.
I want to ask you, speaking of Korean boot camps and speaking of coaching, So we actually had Diamond Prox on as a guest once, and then he talked about coming to NA and then playing for Apex, I think, and or playing for Dignitas, or that was supposed to be Apex, and then getting benched. Like, what happened? Like with Diamond Prox, was he not good when you coached him? Like, why did you decide to go with someone else?
Oh, well, we had the Korean boot camp. Like when we started Korean boot camp on Apex, we lost like 30 fucking games in a row or some shit. It was so awful. Like we were trying people out. It was like I was like, I didn't even know people could lose this many games. We're scrimming like Korean teams and like Chinese teams and stuff. And then yeah, we were trying out like Diamond Prox and Shrimp, and then there's one other person I can't remember, but and with like Thal and like Ray, and obviously Ray is a whole handful in his own. But yeah, it just he just wasn't working out in scrims, and then we eventually like decided to set on Shrimp, and we started like winning scrims again. We started like actually coming together as a team, like doing better. But and then I was just like, okay, well, we can put Diamond Prox on Academy. Maybe we can see if he can work out in the future. Like we can try him out again in the future. But then like the Academy team for them was like horrible, like they're trying to play through Challenger, and I don't think they won like any games. So if you're presented with that kind of information, and then we were also struggling on Apex at the time as well, so it's like, am I going to take the risk of bringing in players that are struggling already in Challenger, or am I going to stick with like what's kind of going on here and try to improve on it? So it just kind of made the call on that. And I mean, who's to know like what either, like let's say he came onto the LCS squad, if he could have worked out differently. But I don't think that with that team of Apex had enormous like issues that I think don't really matter, like what jungler are going to be in there, so yeah.
I mean, we shot on NA a lot this episode. What do you guys think NA needs to do to then actually get better, and like what do you think like future of NA looks like?
What does NA need to do to get better? I mean, I hate making excuses, but like I think 70 ping solo queue environment and a solo queue environment where you also have a third of the ranked player base compared to EU, NA, like think about how many players play in China. That definitely hurts us. And like the training, like right now I have Grandmasters accounts. Like I'm the highest elo you can be, and I play in it, and I think it's horrific like how bad the practice is. Like you see tons of pros like tweeting about it. You have like gold people in their games and stuff. It just, the solo queue training environment is atrocious. It's you can't get past it. So let's say you have the Korean mentality where it's like, I'm just going to train and practice hard at the game, and when I'm not in scrims, I'm just going to play even more solo queue and practice my mechanics and get better there. You can't really do that in NA, because the people you're playing against, you're going to play against like a fucking Teemo one trick mid when you're trying to practice like a LCS matchup, and you're going to have 70 ping while he probably has like 5 or 10 because he's in Chicago or some shit. So yeah, like how the fuck is that going to be a good training environment, and how is that going to foster up talent? And then on top of that, we also have this mentality in NA where it's a lot better to be a personality and a streamer than it is to aspire to be a pro player. And I think that's just like a competitive nature that is in kind of like NA culture with gaming. Like I don't think the culture for the NA culture for gaming is as competitive and ruthless as it is in other regions. And that's something I've talked to with a lot of people, even when we're in the off season, like talking to EU players and Korean players and things like that. They all had expressed those kind of like fears and worries and when deciding to like come to a team. So I think that it's a bunch of those types of issues that compound on each other. And then you also have the issues we talked about where you want to pick up wins in NA. You're just going to do the style that is going to get you as far along as possible, and that's do nothing. That's the easiest thing to do, right? Instead of actually taking risk and trying to develop a strategy, identify your weaknesses. Like I think most NA teams can identify, like teams have weaknesses, and you have to identify like how you're going to play around them, how you're going to work. Like you could even say like CLG, right? I'd say like Weldon probably did a good job with that guy. Like they identified they can't play through top. They have rookie jungler, like PoE's a scaler. Like they're just going to all scale, right? They identified their weaknesses, how to play with their win condition with with the pieces they have, right? I think that a lot of teams can't do that and develop a strategy of like how to win with their team. So they just default into things. So it's just a whole bunch of issues like that, and those have to get worked through.
Duncan, thoughts?
Isn't this near the end of the episode?
Yeah.
Mate? How much longer? Is this going to be the last team we talk
That's
about?
the last thing.
So we're talking about just 100 Thieves as the last team.
Yeah. That
the
episode's
big
2 hours
problem-
and 30 minutes long. I don't
Yeah,
think we should go
that's
long.
all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. I don't think there's that many other teams we need to talk about at the moment anyway. The rest are all like mid-table. The problem with the 100 Thieves team is like...
Well, no. Problems with NA. Problems with NA.
Oh, NA as a general, right. Okay, I guess the biggest problem I have is this. I don't buy it as an excuse, this angle of like, oh, but everyone in the region's just bad and so none of us can improve. It's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you have coaches. Like, either your players are incapable of doing the things you want them to do, in which case they're half-wits, or they aren't being coached properly. Like, you were saying before about how you were critical of remember the distinction you made, Loco, is yes, the way to win at the moment is to do that. That's the current blueprint. It's like you just pick scaling champions, you don't let them kill you in the early game, you get to the late game and you win by just punishing their mistakes because they have to engage on you and then you win the team fight, right? Right? That is in theory the way to win, but if all these great minds and coaches and infrastructure is there in NA, why don't they coach a different way?
I think that a lot of I'm just going to flame people, but I think a lot of the coaches don't have the game knowledge or the level of respect to challenge the superstars, because NA is a region of importing superstars, right?
Sure.
And your team's built around those players. So if I'm going to challenge that person, and granted, like, they can do it in a way where, they can gain that person's respect, mentor them, like, develop that person. But I don't think what most pro gaming coaches are former players or something, or like, they don't really have like a lot of those life skills, or they don't know how to do those situations. So in order to get through to some of those star players, you either have to have just as much knowledge as them or greater, that's a difficult task in its own in a lot of situations, or you have to be able to have those like life skills that I just listed, and that's a weakness to a lot of coaches as well. So those two things I think that just a lot of people are in positions that either they don't have the right strategic coach or head coach to complement them.
Coaches in the LCS that are called a head coach, but really they're just an analyst or strategic coach. There's a lot of those still.
Yeah, but
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, so like head coach it's an interesting position, and I think that maybe the right people that aren't really in those positions yet, and it's difficult to have a pool of people to fill those positions because it's just there's 20 different spots between ULCS and NALCS, and it's difficult to understand like who actually had what impact on a team, or and I've talked to a lot of different coaches from EU and NA, and there's I'd say it's like a real toss up of like the ones I'm like, okay, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. So
call out the ones you think that knows what the fuck they're doing in NA. I
like that. And I was gonna say for EU, I like that Giliardo guy or whatever.
The guy who just took over. Which team is it?
Origin.
Team is that? Is it Origin? You could be right. Actually, I think it might be.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
But I think I talked to him, and I like the way that he thinks about the game, and he seems like he understands like how to work with people and things like that. So it's just there are people out there, but I think that I don't want to just put people on blaster flames, so I'm not going to do that. But I'd say like probably the best coach in NA is probably Reaper, just because he's been in like high pressure team environments and he's older and he's like been around, and he also played at a high level. So.
Is it true? I can't remember if this was just a rumor, but did Reginald actually try to get Daylor to be a coach at TSM? Is that true, Loco?
Not that I know of.
Because that's one thing I would be interested to see. I don't know if it would work because obviously it's a different culture, but I would like to see like the best European coaches have a go in NA. Like Daylor obviously did a good job. Youngbuck has had great success. I would try giving one of these people a go. Now, again, I can't guarantee it'd work. Maybe it's a different.
Hey, Youngbuck did try in NA. Youngbuck did try in NA. Remember
NME?
Oh, NME in the challenges.
And that was when Youngbuck was a new coach, so I think it's hard to judge if Youngbuck would do well in NA. We kind of see Prawley coaching in NA, but we can talk about how much Prawley is from NA, but Prawley's coaching and Prawley developed all his coaching stuff in EU, so that's a EU coach that's working out in NA.
And by the way, I'm definitely not I'm talking about the very, very best EU coaches. Like, I don't think like EU has necessarily better coaches than NA. Like, actually, I think a bunch of the EU coaches are whack as well. Just that they have better teams, better practice environment, etc.
Okay. Saint, anything else you want to say before we end the show?
Nah.
I know.
Okay.
What does he expect you're going to say there? Yes, Loco.
Shout out to my cat. Shout out to my girlfriend
Yeah,
for
shout out to
supporting
my
me,
girlfriend, my cat, man.
for helping me
Shout
through
out
hard-
to who he's dog and girlfriend. At least some things are going well in your life, mate.
Yeah, man. We flame people, but I'm sure they're good people.
Yeah, plus, you know what? It's way better to get paid like 20k a month and get flamed by me on a talk show you don't have to watch than get paid fucking 1k a month flamed hard in your face by your manager who's like, I need to pull double shifts. So yeah, if that's the choice, take the other one all day long, mate. It's like, as much as I ever complain about Reddit, actually I'll take a life where the worst thing in my life is someone on Reddit like, you're biased. It's like, that's not bad actually when I think of it that way. It's not really that bad, is it? You just wait a minute, I can just close this down. Fuck, that's amazing actually. Yeah.
What do you mean you're getting cyberbullied? Have you tried turning off the light?
Yeah. No, listen, I mean, listen, we have to be very careful about this topic because obviously it can veer into some dodgy areas. But I will say, I absolutely, in some senses, subscribe to the philosophy of Tyler, the Creator in that sense. Yeah. He's in many ways my Buddha.
For a lot of the creators, right? Like their online persona is their life. And, like, it's hard to like actually turn it off. Like, what, you go airplane mode on your phone, like you can get flamed on. I know there's like 3 different formats I get flamed on: Twitter, my own Twitch, Reddit, YouTube. Okay, that's like 4 different ones. And sometimes people in IRL they'll talk to me about teams and stuff. Like that's like 5 formats that you can't fucking escape.
It's alright, man. I'm the king of getting flamed, so that's
exactly.
fine. Yeah, I'm used to it, man. You just zone that shit out. Can't please everybody, man.
And what if you have to host a show with the person flaming you twice a week?
Well, I mean, Oren's a ginger, so he doesn't have a soul, so at least he's got that.
I made that joke and I got flamed for that exact joke on a past episode. Okay, I think that's gonna be the end. Thanks for coming on, Saint.
Alright, no problem, man.
Alright, later, guys.